hello there. Welcome to your Friday show, to your Friday stream, where we must discuss the absolute cinema that is Venom, The Last Dance. Can you believe it? I've never seen a Rotten Tomatoes score turn around like this. All of a sudden, it's fresh. Word of mouth is crazy. Everybody's going out to see it multiple times, and if you didn't see it, now is your chance to go see it. So it's time to see it, and everybody's seeing it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Hey, we're gonna talk about Venom, man. A civil war has started, has sort of happened in the tower over Venom 3. I can't believe it. So we're gonna get into that. We'll talk about that. Boo this man. Boo, boo. We'll talk about it. Venom, baby. It's the best. Have you ever known that Venom is the best? We gotta talk about that. Guess what? We gotta talk about Agatha. Yeah, man, we haven't even talked about Agatha. You know what? In all seriousness, man. So, I'm like struggling a little bit on the content side of things because I'm like, I just feel like we're not fully on top of everything, and I almost feel like, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I almost feel like we need to stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We need to stream, and we need to be live, and we need to be doing the nerdy news rundown. Because it seems like there's just always news. And it's tough because I'm trying to do dedicated videos as well. And I'm trying to figure out how to do dedicated videos. And just the process is just kind of, it's just not working. You know what I mean? Like, it's just plainly not working the way I want it to be. So, oh yeah, hit me up with that, Adam. Hit me up. I'll check it out. I don't know. I'm going over some ideas, and to be honest with you, I've been so stressed out with like how to get this figured out and like some of the other things that I'm working on that I'm gonna spend a lot of this weekend just kind of recalibrating and trying to figure stuff out. But I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? You know, what do you think? You're quitting YouTube again? Oh, I'm out, bro. I'm out. I've had enough. I've had enough of the bull crap. I've had enough of the bull crap. Hang on, I gotta shut this little heater off. Hang on. Or turn it down. Yeah, try turning it down. Oh. It just sucks, man. Like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I don't need to burden you guys with it. I just believe that we should be doing more and that we should be more on top of the news. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't talked about Agatha in like 3 days. It's old news. And I'm not saying I want to do a dedicated video to Agatha each week, but like, I can at the very least do a segment on the stream about it like the following day. But if we do this, something's got to give. So I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing, is like, I can't keep doing all the streams I'm doing currently and add more streams and add more videos. It's a difficult problem. It's a difficult problem to have. Twitter was the best place to hear your takes. That's true, actually. So well, I don't think it's the best place to hear the takes, but I will say the reach that I had on Twitter made it so I was at the very least able to like drop thoughts and like be a part of the conversation without like doing a video each and every time about everything. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I love the shit horsery. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Just make a blue sky already. Look, I'm considering making another Twitter account. I mean, look, the honest to God truth is I've pretty much exhausted every possible way to like get my Twitter account back. And the reality is, like, there's just nobody actually working there. So it's like, you can't get a hold of a human being to explain to a human being what is happening. It's all automated. It's all like, it's probably all that shitty AI they have, Grok. And so there's no way to like have a conversation with somebody. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I've been thinking about just making a new account. And there were people today on Discord, maybe you're in here right now, that had said like they want me to make a new Twitter account. So I don't know. I'm considering it. Although part of me wanted to wait for something like, I don't know, like Skeleton Crew, or just tell Elon you're gonna vote if he unbans that fucking guy. Part of me wanted to wait for something so that I could make a really crazy tweet of like, I literally made a whole new Twitter just to say this: Skeleton Crew is us. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, maybe I could do it for this Ray movie thing, you know? And like get in there and be like, hey, I made a whole new Twitter account because I had to say this Ray movie is us, and it's great that they're actually probably never going to make it. Or Skeleton Crew saves Star Wars. Optimistic this morning, aren't we, Aaliyah? Optimistic this morning, huh? Do most people even know you got banned? You know what's funny about that? I literally have an encounter a day with somebody that finds out I was banned. Literally. Once a day, I have an encounter and people are like, bro, what the fuck? Where's your Twitter? Literally, at least once a day. I don't know what that means. But it is interesting. And it's also part of the thing that made me kind of think again, like maybe I should make an account, you know? Because like, for instance, Paul and I had like an interaction on Instagram yesterday. And he was like, bro, what happened? You know what I mean? And he was like, well, I guess hit me up here if you want to talk. And I felt bad because, dude, Paul and I would talk all the time on Twitter. You know, whether it was public or in the DMs, we'd be talking all the time. And it was nice. It was like my way to be in touch with Paul. Paul's a great dude. Like, I really like Paul, you know? Super funny. Yeah. We'll see. I misses my friends. A little bit, yeah, I misses my friends. Can't get his number. I think I have his Telegram. And we can chat on Instagram. Back in the day, Paul used to be so paranoid about some of the things he was sharing. They would only like put them on Telegram or then on Instagram, where it has like the feature where like the messages get deleted. And he'd be like, dude, I'm going to tell you this thing about Kathleen Kennedy, but you can't tell anybody. If they find out that I'm the one spreading this, I'll never get that R2D2 deal on Instagram, you know? Okay, let me catch up on some chats here. We've got a lot to get into, man. I want to talk about Agatha. I gotta shit on the Penguin just a little bit more. Venom 3, I like it. And I was ready to come out here. Guys, I was ready to come out here and be like, look, I like Venom 3, but nobody else does. It sucks. Sony sucks. What the fuck? It's Jover. Okay? However, I don't know if you guys have seen how well this movie is doing in China, but I'm going to reserve full-ass judgment of how this is doing until we get the final box office numbers on Sunday/Monday. Because China loves this movie, and I do too. So we'll see. I'm pulling for Venom, but we'll talk about that. The Ray movie, of course, loses its writer. The Ray movie has a bunch of egg on its face, but I need to regale you with the full story of its failure, because even the public perception, which is really bad, and everybody outside looking in is like, the fuck is this lady still doing running this company? Having said that, when you actually know the full story of how bad this is, it looks even worse. So some of you probably heard a little bit of this before. But I'm gonna tell you a tale. I'm gonna tell you a tale. We have to talk about Disney AI, a story that's kind of flying under the radar. And in fact, one must wonder if after that article came out from The Wrap, if other articles were perhaps released to maybe distract. Okay, so I want to get into that. We also have a little bit of clarification on a few Marvel things, including when Secret Wars is going to shoot. So it's going to be a good stream, man. We got a lot to get into today. A lot to get into. Okay, let me bring this over here. Let me bring this over here. And also, what's up, Twitch? I saw Jareth Loveberry in first. Captain BTY says Venom. Twitch Coast Avengers assemble. Agatha was great. True. Comic things. Josh, can't we do late stream? What do you mean by that, brother? Nerdvenger reporting for duty. Oh, hell yeah. Please make sure Twitter account. So I'm tired of the 50 Twitter posts an hour. Please make sure. I don't know what that means, brother. Make a new one? Okay. Yeah, we'll maybe. Austin was the first in today with a super chat for $2 and says Agatha last episode was us. What? Oh my god. I don't know if I've ever disagreed more. I thought the last episode of Agatha, which, you know, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. Chat, I thought the last episode of Agatha was phenomenal. And you know what? I actually had an interesting... let me just tell you this, too. Because I actually went... It was boring? What? Oh, my God. Here come all the fucking Penguin fans. You know, I literally have a note here. I'm going to skip ahead to this note. It says, I think it's actually pretty funny and telling that we're debating right now 2 unpopular shows and a Sony movie. It sort of shows the state of the genre. And I think that's really the truth. Like, if we just all take a step back and be like, do we realize that we're arguing about 2 shows that barely anybody's watching and a third Venom movie made by Sony? Like, that, let's just take, like, in perspective, right? But regardless, just based off merit of the individual episode, I thought that episode of Agatha was fantastic. That might be one of the best episodes of Disney Plus content that they have made. You know, I would put that, honestly, this is going to sound weird, maybe controversial, but I think that episode of Agatha is better than a lot of Loki Season 2. Not Loki Season 2 in totality, and of course, Loki as a show from Season 1 into Season 2 is like goated, and I don't see Agatha really touching that, but I will say that individual episode is so well written and so well executed that I think it's better than most of the episodes in Loki Season 2. Now, you know, again, perspective's important. Like, what are we really talking about? We're talking about a show that really nobody's watching, a show that nobody really cares about. You know, I say that there's obviously a lot of the Marvel fans are watching it, but that's about it, guys. Like, it's a slice of Marvel fandom, and that's all the show is really appealing to. So it's not like I'm sitting here saying, like, holy shit, everybody needs to watch this. This should be the new direction of Disney Plus shows in general, etc., etc. But I think it's also just fair. You just got to be fair. Before that episode came out, I'd actually forgotten completely that Agatha came out that night. If you'll remember, we did not do a Nerdventure stream this week. I was busy that night, and so I kind of got done with work, and it just I wasn't thinking about Agatha at all. Okay. And about 20 minutes after 9, I was in the office, and I think I was getting ready to play poker. I was going to play a poker tournament or something like that. And Elisa came in, and she was like, you know, it's Agatha tonight. And I was like, okay, how long's the Agatha episode? You know what I mean? I was like, how long's that episode? And she was like 37 minutes. I was like, okay, let's watch it. Let's watch it then. And I kind of I didn't really want to watch it, to be honest with you. I was much more looking forward to just playing some poker and chilling. And so I kind of was like, oh, here we go, Agatha. And I was fucking blown away, dude. Like, that was a very good episode. So that's crazy. First comment of the day says last episode of Agatha was Ayas. I think that's wild, man. Aussie, welcome back to the Nerd Vengers. Vinny Diaz says, not sure if you know Luke Steffens, but he has his streaming channel for news and his channel for vids he wants to make. Check him out if you want. Luke Stevens? I don't know. What kind of content? What kind of content, brother? Let me know. Any of you Call of Duty heads out there, man? You guys liking that new COD? I saw a couple of streamers like playing it last night. Rossi says, I gave Venom 3 a 7.5. I went in thinking I would hate it. What's Agatha? Have you heard of Penguin? It's fast-paced. You should check it out. Oh, it's really fast-paced. Also, did you guys see that there was a Venomized penguin in the post-credit scene? Or in the credits of Venom The Last Dance? They literally had a Venomized penguin. And it was for about 2 seconds. You know? It's just like a weird little CG thing. And I was like, that is more entertaining than the entire Penguin show. And then my whole theater like started like slow clapping. They were like, what a brilliant take. What a brilliant take. I love that take from you. Love that for us. You know, it was crazy. Brandon says, hey, remember 2 weeks ago when I said give it 2 weeks and you'd be back to Twitter? LMAO, can't wait for you to get back on there. God damn it. All right, Brandon, I think you were right. All 6 of you. Let's not get crazy, Adam. There were probably 4 of us. Noah says, how are you going to get peer pressured into creating a new Twitter account and not come over and show your best buddy Gunn some love on Threads? I thought about making a just full-on James Gunn hater Twitter account. Like an parody alt account. And just go hard. Every day. Just go hard on hating on James Gunn. Like getting up early. You know? And I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. But I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah. I mean, it would be funny. Dirty! Says I was never knighted. That's bullcrap, Dirty. I know you were knighted. And also, sorry if you weren't. Dirty Nap, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger now. Yeah, but you know what? It's a new year, new me, guys. You know, I'm trying to be more... What did I say at the beginning of the year? More chill. More loving. You guys remember? It's basically a new year, new me. No, I'm talking about from January. Yeah. So, yeah, we gotta, you know, we need to do better, Senator. How's that going? I mean, you guys tell me. How do you think it's going? And then I quit. That's true. That's true. It's about how that happened, yeah. Does it feel like I'm sticking to my New Year's resolution or not? Did I do good, chat? Did I do good? Okay, Javier says, the scenes without Eddie, Venom, or Null were not it. They hard carried the movie, in my opinion. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You never knighted me. Benjamin, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger now. Hell nah. Nah. Really? Say something nice about Penguin. It's almost over. It's almost over. How many more episodes? It's almost over. Say something nice about Ranch. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's got herbs in it. Thanks. Agatha's last episode was great. For sure, one of the best episodes of all Marvel TV, says Vagabond of Light. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's just it's a complex... Dude, like, that would be a hard episode to write. Like, that would be hard to write. And it was really well written. It was really well edited, really well directed. A lot of fun mystery going on there. I thought it was good. Yeah. Kalisto. Oh, man. I'm going to skip to Kalisto says, I think Dirty asks to be knighted about once a year. I want to be knighted every year. Something nice about ranch. It might be better than poop. That's a great opinion. 50 months of support from Kalisto. Holy cow. Thank you so much, Kalisto. It's always good to see you, too. And you are a nerd venture. You continue to be a nerd venture. Jerry Comics, welcome to the Nerd Ventures. You are a nerd venture now. Axe Arc says, just miss being here with a 5 spot. Aw, man, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Life takes us in different ways. Maybe you've been busy. It's all good. Rossi says, I don't know how you can talk about the last credit scene in Venom 3 without spoilers, but what the F was that about? I need your take on it 100%. Darth Baba! Nerd Venture for 40 months, brother. Appreciate the support. Holy. The last post-credit scene. How can I talk about this without spoilers? I think what they're trying to imply in that scene is that it is possible that one of those things survived. That's about all I can say. Also, maybe the most random and worst post-credit scene ever. You know, one of the reasons why is it is literally 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And I can't fucking believe it. And this is probably why Elisa went so hard on the movie. Because she went out to the bathroom and she was like, I'll wait outside after the first credit scene. She wasn't invested. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, I gotta wait. I gotta wait for the last one. And it's 15 minutes of credits, which, you know, we have a story on the docket today about Disney AI. And I know we all feel really differently about AI, but I just want you to consider how much shorter these credits are going to be once AI gets kicked in. I know that's probably a fucked up thing to say, but just think about it. So you're sitting there for 15 minutes, you know, looking at all the names that are basically the reason that this industry is non-profitable. You know what I mean? Just looking at this fucking wall of names for 15 goddamn minutes. And then you finally get to a post-credit scene that is a complete waste of time. Yeah, complete waste of time. So, yeah, what can I say about the post-credit scene? What can I say about it? What can I say? Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all I got. Yeah, what's up with the roach? So I think, okay. So earlier on in the movie, I can't believe people are so interested in this, by the way. What a wild world. Just like they said in the movie, it's a wild world. I think that cockroach was around the glass containers that are broken, right? That's what it's meant to be, right? Well, earlier in the movie, they say at Area 51 that everything will be destroyed. And the one doctor makes a comment, and she says, except for the cockroaches. They'll survive anything. They've been around for like 300 million years. They would survive anything. Well, if you think about it, right? That implies that one of those things that was otherwise going to die, if it did symbiosis with the cockroach, it would have survived. Does that make sense? And I'm going to do a whole video. I'm going to do a video about On the Ending Explained. Because, you know, you want to talk about the ending, Spider-Man 4, what the hell's going on? There's a lot to get into. Yeah. Venom is a roach. I don't know if Venom's a roach or if one of the other symbiotes is a roach or if Venom's leftovers is a roach. I'm not really sure. Papa Roach. You know what they should have done? They should have had that roach have like a symbiote mouth on it. Like, you know how they had the venomized fish and the venomized frog, which I thought were great. The venomized horse. The roach should have had a venom mouth. And then it should have been like, cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. And then it goes into the song or something like that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You see, this is why Sony needs to hire me. You know what I mean? And I did have that thought as I was watching the movie. I actually, like, I enjoyed Venom 3. We're going to talk about it. It's right here in my notes. Okay? We're still in the intro right now. I'm just going over people's questions. But I did have the thought as I was watching the movie because it's a bad movie that I enjoyed. Okay? That's what it is. It's a bad movie that I enjoyed. And I had this thought as I was watching. I was like, God damn, they really just need some people that know how to write. Like, this is crazy. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. I mean, look, part of me sort of cringes at the idea of, like, working within the Hollywood system because of, like, executive notes and, like, people that just don't know. They just don't know a goddamn thing. And then they're going to tell you how to write or do stories or the considerations of this focus group, that blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's like art and business. And it just feels like it would be so annoying to work within that system, right? But then the other part of me is like, we are losing our fucking myths. We are losing our ability to use story to influence the human fucking spirit. Oh my God. We need people that are going to put some kind of soul back into this fucking machine. Do you know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough one. Not sure what the answer is, but it made me want to write. You know? Darth Baba, thanks, man. 40 months. Appreciate you. John says, I like Venom. I like Tom Hardy. I like many actors in the movie. I like the visuals. The Venom trilogy is the Sony Marvel cash grab universe. Is Joe over? Yeah. No, I think that's probably a fair take, man. I think it was C-Dub last night on the Discord said that the Venom movies are the Fast and the Furious of the comic book movie genre. And I was like, that's a really good take. Like, that feels accurate to me. Where, like basically, like, don't think about it too much kind of a vibe. Yeah. So, I think that's probably a good take, yeah. Rossi says, I don't think it was Venom because it had the electricity thing. I don't know. I didn't think it had electricity stuff on it, but I think it's meant to denote that something survived. That's all. Just one of the symbiotes survived or something, you know? Venom was all right. Would have been better if they had Subway Surfers gameplay playing beneath it. Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, should we turn on the gambling? Everybody in chat's like, turn on the gambling. Turn on the gambling. Hey, turn on the gambling. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Boom, there you go. There you go. Okay, should we get into it, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready? You ready to rock out? You ready to get into some nerdy news? Oh, wait, I fucking deleted the... Oh, my God. I deleted the nerdy news rundown thing. That is okay. That's not a big deal because I'm going to be fixing everything this weekend. When we come back at it on Monday, ooh, it's going to be good. But I will tell you, chat, that today is Friday, October 25th. And we've got a lot of nerdy news to go over today. I want to talk about Agatha. I want to talk about how it's decent. I want to talk about how it compares to Penguin, things of that nature. We've got to talk about Venom 3. It's burning up the charts, baby. China loves Venom. I love Venom. That's probably it. We'll see how the weekend goes, the box office. But I did want to talk about my feelings about the movie. I'm going to try to get non-spoiler about it, but get into some discussions about the film. And also, where we go from here, you know, talking about Spider-Man 4, the possibilities of the Sony Marvel universe expanding past this. I have a hilarious theory that is goddamn ridiculous, but it's so goddamn ridiculous that it feels perfectly in line with something that Sony would do. Wait till you hear that. And then the big story of the day, the truth about the Rey movie. Earlier this week, I think it was on Monday, something came out where Daisy Ridley said that the Rey movie is evolving. What I said then was it's evolving in reverse, and that is pretty much confirmed because of stories that came out yesterday about that movie losing its writer. And so I want to go into that story. I want to talk about the history of Kathleen Kennedy and the Rey movie. It's worse than you think. Holy shit, Star Wars. Unbelievable what's happening over there with that brand. I also want to talk about this Disney AI story that is flying under the radar. Okay, so let's begin with Agatha. So Agatha, episode 7. Actually kind of awesome, right? We talked about it a little bit on Discord and whatnot, but I thought the episode was frankly great. Incredible writing, really cool character stuff. Also, a lot of interesting stuff going on with regards to death, her being fully exposed, time travel, magic's connection to time travel. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's going on in this episode. And it sets up what will be the 2-part finale next week. Double check me on that, chat. I'm pretty sure. And so I just wanted to talk about Agatha a little bit because it's a good show that I still don't know is going to really grow on the charts. I don't think it's going to be widely supported by a lot of the fan base. But if I were Marvel Studios, I would take a look at this show. I would take a look at what fans are saying about the show. And I would, at the very least, continue to work with a lot of these people. I mean, the actors. So I think that Joe Locke, I believe is his name, the guy that plays Wiccan, he's been doing a great job, continues to be good in the show. So I'm excited to see more of that character. I think Agatha's been interesting as a character. The Ilya character is cool, but she's obviously not going to be a big part of anything else moving forward. But I think the most important person here that needs to continue with Marvel Studios is Jack Schaefer. I really think Jack Schaefer is great. And I think that this show, for what it is, for what the budget is, I hope that Schaefer gets to do more. You know, there's a lot of rumors about big stuff going on with Wanda, other shows, the possibility of Schaefer being involved with a show that would center around Tommy, Billy's brother, and the Maximoff family kind of getting back together. And even the possibility of Jack Schaefer being involved in the Wanda solo movie, which is likely now to happen after Avengers Secret Wars. So I thought it was really good. Now, I did want to talk about Penguin a little bit, just because, you know, it's been an ongoing thing here. I've obviously been pretty critical of the Penguin show. There are some great episodes. Episode 3 of the Penguin is my favorite episode. This last episode of Agatha is my favorite episode of Agatha. And I really do believe that the Agatha show is more interesting than Penguin. Okay. And I thought that episode 7 was a great example of that. Not every episode of Agatha has been great. I've kind of been, you know, on the fence, surprisingly, when it comes to Agatha. But this last episode was really complex, great writing, great execution. And it's just so interesting. You know, I find myself when I watch Penguin being bored and then being like, yeah, I saw that coming a mile away. you know, and I think they're playing with a lot of like mafia tropes. They're playing with a lot of themes that are cool, that work in a stylized nature, but I just really don't think the show is all that interesting. Agatha and Penguin continue to be kind of an interesting little battle here between DC and Marvel. They're both those kind of shows that have to face the criticism of who asked for this, right? And I mean, you could even maybe make that same claim when it comes to Venom. Who asked for this, right? Who asked for a second one? Who asked for a third Venom movie? I think this is just the state of a lot of the comic book genre audience. They've seen it all. We've done it all. And when certain projects get announced, you know, we'll be like, who asked for that? Right? And I find it's an interesting commentary on where the genre is right now. Hollywood productions are lengthy. You know what I mean? You've got a couple of months of shooting. You've got months of writing. You've got months of post-production. Even a small budgeted show, the turnaround of that can be a year plus, right? And I think the real state of the genre of comic book stuff right now is that the audience's taste is changing faster than the studios are able to keep up on, because of how this production works. So we're kind of living in this era with, I think, just general audiences and fans of the comic book genre that a lot of this stuff doesn't really seem worth our time, worth our attention. And this is gonna carry into the Venom 3 thing as well, because I just, you know, I thought it was so wild to take a step back and consider that where we are at here in October of 2025 is a time when the conversation on this channel and the conversation, I would say, overall within the nerdy space is Agatha versus Penguin. And, you know, is Venom worth it? Should Sony be burned to the ground, or are we going to support Venom? And so there's sort of an undertone here that I think more of the audience is crying out for what I would call just high effort entertainment. Okay. And I wonder, you know, if there'll be any lingering damage done for either brand. And I don't necessarily think so. You know what I mean? I think Penguin is considered really good by a lot of, well, I shouldn't say necessarily a lot of DC fans, because I really just don't think the viewership is there. But the people that are watching it are very positive on it. I think a lot of people are watching Agatha and are positive on it as well. Agatha has also really avoided toxicity. Now, I've been off Twitter for a couple of weeks, so let me ask you, Chet. Do you see a lot of toxicity towards Agatha? And another interesting question to ask is, are you seeing a lot of the sort of like anti-woke channels, or the channels that sort of farm, you know, that kind of drama? Are they covering Agatha a lot, or are they just kind of leaving it be? My impression has been that they're generally just leaving it be and not attacking it, especially not in the way that a show like Acolyte was attacked, right? And so it's an interesting show. I don't think you could consider Agatha a total failure, and I don't think you could consider Penguin a failure, even though I do think they're both going to end up with pretty low viewership. And I just think this is kind of an interesting time for the space, for the genre, for these conversations. There've been some great stuff in both shows, right? You think about it. Penguin really does have some good stuff in it. I give Penguin a lot of crap. I do think it's generally very boring, but there's great stuff in there. Effort. You know, it feels cinematic. Some of the performances are incredible. Like, the one thing you cannot say about Penguin is that the performances are bad. The performances are fucking incredible, dude. Like, you know, the three main characters too have just great performances. But then, like, to be fair, I look at Agatha, I think it has really good performances as well, and I think it's actually really well written. I guess what I'm really saying here is that there's potentially, and just don't throw all the tomatoes, don't burn me down when I say this, but I'm going to make a comparison. And I'm going to say that the plot of Agatha, the plot of the Penguin, and maybe even the plot of Venom 3 are actually not that much worse than the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine. I specifically was thinking about this with Venom, right? And we can kind of transition into the Venom talk, right? Because I think you kind of get what I'm saying about Agatha and Penguin. But the reality is, Venom is thin. Like, it's a thin plot, bro. Like, there's not a lot going on. You're sort of dragged from cool Venom scene to cool Venom scene, and then there's a few, like, Noel scenes where he's just like, oh, no, you know, and shit like that, right? And the reality is, it's actually only a point or two worse than Deadpool's plot. Like, Deadpool's plot is not great. But Deadpool and Wolverine is a massive fucking success. A massive success, right? And, you know, there's a couple of different reasons why. But I think the biggest reason is that they sold a fan experience. They did not take the audience for granted in any way, shape, or form. And you can feel in like every frame of that movie, you can feel the team behind it trying to please you. It's not like everything's working, but damn, they swing for the fences and did incredible stuff. The action's incredible. Getting Hugh Jackman back is incredible. Getting the cameos in, it's incredible. And it's like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's going on with the genre. I think a lot of us are. And I get worried that fatigue sets in, and I think there's more chance of fatigue the more middling projects come out. And, you know, you look at Penguin, you look at Agatha, that's a lot of audience rejection. Like, those numbers are terrible, bro. I'm sorry. I know you Penguin fans are like, what are you talking about? The Hollywood trades keep telling me that less than 2 people watch it each day it comes out, and that's supposed to be good. Like, I know some of you still want to believe it's a really big show. It's not. It's not. Both of them are not getting views. The jury's kind of still out on Venom, but it doesn't look great. You know, there were a lot of empty theaters. It seems like the movie's underperforming. I think it opened at 8 million last night in previews, which is behind both movies. Venom 1 did 10. Let There Carnage did 11. On a small side note, the biggest, the craziest fucking thing about all of the Venom Rotten Tomato scores, it is not that they're all low. It's the fact that the second one has such a higher Rotten Tomato score. That's ridiculous. There's nobody in the planet that actually thinks the second Venom is the best one. So the Rotten Tomato scores themselves kind of self-indict by showing that. You kind of realize it's a lot of goobly glob, and it's more of like just the moment, you know? I really believe that. I think what happened was people went over hard on Venom 1. I think they recalibrated for Venom 2 and went easier on it. And now they're back to going harder on Venom 3. I think Venom 3 is better than both of the other movies. I really do. I think it actually serves as a really great ending for that character, for that trilogy. I think that the action is dope as hell. Okay? Like, that Venom model, in the same way that Hulk, by the time they got to, like, Infinity War and Endgame, the Hulk model, like, that they use for the CGI is so good that, like, god damn, bro, it looks just fucking incredible. In that same way, the Venom model looks incredible. The action that they do with Venom, off the wall, love it. There's a lot of other Venomized people and things that happen at the end of the movie. I thought that was awesome. The Venomized fish, the Venomized frog, the Venomized horse, all of that stuff. I felt like it was all really cool and awesome. And the movie has real heart. Okay. Now, having said that, it has really like a thin, absolutely absurd, ridiculous, like almost hilariously bad plot. Some of the turns that happen are like, okay, what are we doing here? But I don't know that it deserves the level of hate that it is getting. And I don't know that it deserves to bomb in the same way that it might bomb. Okay? I will put a small asterisk here and a small caveat, because Venom is doing really well in China. I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure this is the best performing American movie in China since they stopped putting movies in China. It did 8 million in previews, right under the domestic preview number. Okay? And I think the movie's doing relatively well in a lot of other markets. It's not doing super great in the domestic market, right? So what does this say? I mean, it's very close to the Fast and the Furious thing. You know, that's such a great comparison. So the movie could actually be bolstered. I do wonder if we're looking at a 165 worldwide, you know, opening. That's probably pretty decent, and you could see this movie getting up to 5, 6, and if it has legs in certain regions, even 6, 7, which would be crazy, because a lot of people are preying on this movie's downfall and think it's like total ayas and total trash, right? So I'm personally interested to see what's going to happen with Venom, because I think it's more of a case of the audience's expectations changing than anything else. So, just like, you know, Agatha is, frankly, Agatha's one of the better Disney Plus shows, and it's getting, like, no views. Like, it's getting less views than Miss Marvel. Right? And Penguin, similar story. Maybe one of the best things DC's done in a while. That's probably real. It's way better than like Peacemaker and, you know, some of the other things that DC's trying to do. So that's cool, but it's just they're not getting the views, right? If Venom is the worst performing movie in the trilogy, then wow, man, like I really think the whole genre needs to recalibrate. But going back to the point about Deadpool and Wolverine, and I've made this point before, and some people get a little mad at me for making this point. I don't even think you need to make this shit really good. Because I don't think that's actually what audiences are responding to. Because if it was just a metric of quality, I think Penguin would be performing much better. And I think Agatha would be performing much better. And I don't think that's happening. It's also going to be really interesting to see what goes on with Kraven. Because Sony believes Kraven is like the best thing they've ever made. Like, they're really hyped on Kraven. And it might be legit. Like, it might actually be legit. And I wonder if anybody's going to see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it just a product of fans feeling like they're not actually being treated? Quite interesting. Quite interesting. I really think the Deadpool and Wolverine comparison is actually fair. Like, Deadpool and Wolverine's plot is only about a point, maybe a point and a half better than Venom 3's. But whereas it felt like they moved heaven and earth to give fans everything they wanted, Venom 3 instead feels like just piecemealed stuff you want, teasing out a possible future. Like, it's kind of just become lazy. Like, frankly, think about it like this. If you were going to do a Deadpool and Wolverine level of fan service in a Venom 3 movie, what would that look like? That would look like having a Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, that would look like having a Spider-Man. That might even look like bringing another Venom back. You know? Like, that would just, it would just look like they were doing something that was truly shocking and surprising for the fans. And I don't know. I'm really curious about how Venom's going to end up doing overall, right? And if audiences, because like there's obviously something going on with comic book fatigue, right? And I just kind of wonder what's going on with that. But I definitely think that the way forward does not even necessarily have to be like, you know, we watched that video on Monday and there's all this talk of like elevating the genre and, you know, wanting it to be more high art or wanting to do this, that, second, and the third. And I don't know if that's the plan. I don't know if that's the strategy. I will also say, when it comes to Venom 3 specifically, this is probably the best version of this movie that they tried to make. Because remember, there were long-standing rumors that that kid was going to be Peter Parker and that the movie was going to center around them wanting to kill him, and then they don't, and then they're like, okay, we'll be with this kid. I'm not sure if those rumors are 100% true, but it feels like they were. This movie feels like, at one point, it was either testing poorly, or they were like, this isn't going to play. And they were like, yo, we just got to go null. We got to go with null. Because, like, that intro is kind of jarring with null. It felt like something out of Lord of the Rings, except, like, way less, you know, good. But it's an attempt to, like, make this mythical overtone, this big, ominous threat. And some of the stuff with null was cool. A lot of it's just whatever. But the point is, I think this movie changed and added null like within the last 8 months. I don't know that for sure. That's speculation. But I feel like the movie changed. I feel like they did some reshoots and then they just did a whole bunch of scenes with null. Almost like in the first Venom movie, they shot the whole thing saying symbiote and then they reshot to do symbiote. You know? I think they probably did that with null. And it kind of tracks. I mean, if you look at the CGI on null, it kind of tracks to a last minute decision. The plot being as paper thin as it is probably like from that switch to null. The intro just being so goobly glob is probably connected to null. So they did a lot of last minute, you know, depending on what your definition of last minute is. I kind of think they did some stuff late in the game and just pivoted towards null. And it might have worked. Okay, I don't know. I mean, we'll see, right? We got to see what the box office is this weekend. We got to see what China says. We got to see what all these other markets say. What if this movie makes like 700 million? What if this movie makes 800 million? Then you'd have to say that the decision to shift into null and do all that sort of stuff is actually a good decision. You know what I mean? So, a lot going on with Venom. Then I quit. I mean, look, I have a soft spot for the movie. I enjoyed the film. I had fun, man. And I think the ending of the movie, a lot of the emotional core of the film worked for me. Yes, it takes all sorts of different paths to get there. It's really weird and goobly glob. But when you get into that third act and then you have the actual relationship with Eddie and Venom, the memory stuff where they're like doing all that, it hit, man. It hit for me. It worked for me. And I don't know, because like I was ready, guys. You got to understand. I was ready before I saw the movie. You'll recall I was trying to be positive on it. You might say glazing, You might say shilling. Okay? I was positive on the movie. When the first reactions came out, I got kind of excited because I was like, oh, I don't know. Oh, what? People are saying it's the best in the series. People are saying the action's great. People are saying it has emotional beats. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I was at a place where I wanted the movie to be decent. I watched it, kept an open mind. There's a lot of bullshit in that movie. Like, it's a bad movie that I like. Plainly. It is a bad movie that I enjoyed. I was ready, guys, to basically do a whiteboard, say it was Jover, say Venom was a terrible fucking mistake, that the Sony universe wasn't working at all. But I gotta be real. I actually think they can salvage this. I think they can salvage this. I think they can salvage Null. Okay? But here's the problem. The problem is there's one of two ways they could go with Null. There's one of two ways that they could go. Some of your chats right now are so hilarious, and I appreciate it, but I'm trying to kind of stay on topic. The one way they could go with Null, which I think would be great, is you need to do something with Marvel Studios. So I'm talking about Spider-Man 4. Now, I know a lot of you are going to cringe. I know a lot of you just puckered up your buttholes. Okay? Hear me out. The alternative is much worse. Trust me. They either give Kevin Feige control of that character for Spider-Man 4, and they do something that kind of makes sense that could be cool. Okay? If they do that, it could be interesting. A couple of things about Null that were said in the film that I actually thought were really interesting. When the detective Mulligan is talking, and he's, with the symbiote and everything, but when he's talking about how there's this dark void that surrounds the universe, and they were like, what is it? And he was like, you don't want to know. And he was, dude, he did not phone that shit in. He was actually going for it. I like that idea because there is a lot of mystery and darkness out there that they could, use Null in. He's in the void. Did you hear them say that? Right? I thought that was kind of interesting. So there's potential for Null to actually be done in a really cool way with Spider-Man 4. If Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios were going for it and actually doing it correctly, okay? Can I tell you the worst possible thing that they could do with Null? And this may or may not actually be something that Sony is considering, by the way. What if Null fought the Sinister Six? Oh, yeah, and you might be like, bro, there ain't no way. You might be like, that can't be real. Oh, my God. Okay, so you got two choices, chat. Pick your fucking poison. You pick your poison. You want him throwing in a Spider-Man 4? Or you want the Sinister Six? Null versus the Sinister Six. You tell me, chat. Pick your poison. Aren't you guys all about picking the lesser of two evils? Not trying to get political, but you know that appears to be the whole goddamn election. Aren't you guys about that life? So which one is it? Okay, which one is it? You want to see Noel and Spider-Man 4 drinking a goddamn beero? Or do you want to see 90-year-old Michael Keaton, 70-year-old Jared Leto? You want to see them fighting against Noel? Yeah. I'm dead ass. I think that is on a whiteboard at Sony. I think they want to do that. And actually, you know, if you consider what Noel said in the post-credit scene, I'm not going to give the full ass shit away, but he said, your world has no protector. Now I will come and destroy it. And then I think Michael Keaton was like, that's something to do with Spider-Man, I think. And then the scene ended. Right? So, yeah, I guess we're going to see. I think a lot is still to be determined. You know, they have some interesting ideas with Spider-Man 4, but I got to be real, guys. Very credible people are saying that this movie is going to be called King in Black. Very credible people are saying that they want to involve Noel. Okay? So, I guess the success of Venom will determine that a little bit. I think as long as it isn't a complete bomb, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, all I guess I can say, if I wanted to reach for the copium, right? If I wanted to reach for the copium, no. Like, I actually think, I deadass think there's only two ways this goes. Spider-Man 4 or a Sinister Six movie. I'm not even kidding. So, either Venom is a moderate success, Venom 3, moderate success, and then Sony and Marvel are like, okay, we can use Noel in the MCU, improve upon his CG model, because I will remind you that the first time you saw Thanos, he didn't look anything like what you see in Infinity War. Even the second time you see him, he doesn't look anything like that, right? So potentially a much better looking Noel and Tom Hardy, and maybe coming over to Spider-Man 4, maybe Spider-Man going over to Tom Hardy, something like that, right? Not really sure. I think that's a real possibility. But if the movie bombs, if the movie does really badly, I think Kevin Feige will say no Noel in Spider-Man 4. And that will kind of force Kevin, or rather that would force Sony to have him fight fucking Morbius and Vulture. Okay? So we'll see. It's early days, right? It's early days. I don't know what to think, brother. I don't know what to think. I mean, part of me thinks, I'm a little conflicted on this, because, like, I did like Venom 3. We're having fun. We're being cheeky. As always, you know, I'm being a little flagrant here. I'm joking around. But I did enjoy Venom 3. And I would like to see more of Noel. And I think they could improve it. I'm reminded a little bit of, you know, the Hugh Jackman Wolverine thing. It's so interesting how all this stuff is happening at the same time, right? But, like, dude, Jackman's Wolverine, there was a time where we were like, I don't know, bro. Like, after Origins, even the Wolverine, which I think was actually pretty decent and underrated, it didn't light the world on fire. People were like, man, they're making bad movies with Hugh Jackman Wolverine. And Hugh Jackman Wolverine was able to survive bad movies, be rehabilitated. I mean, Deadpool himself was able to survive bad movies and be rehabilitated. So there's a chance that Venom and maybe Noel himself could survive a bad movie and be rehabilitated. So I don't know. I mean, again, I think a lot is riding on this. It's crazy that there's so much, dynamic stuff happening with Spider-Man, with Marvel, just in general. But I mean, yeah, I think if this movie gets to 500 million, I think this movie gets to 600 million. Especially, by the way, if this movie really performs well in China, and this is something that's crazy, right? So I could see an argument here that even if Venom only gets to 400 million, but it does 200 million in China, I could see the argument for continuing. I could see the argument for them being like, yeah, well, people, that would kind of give us a lock in China with Spider-Man 4. Remember, No Way Home did not go to China, right? And the Chinese marketplace seems to love Spider-Man and anything Spider-Man related, dude. They love Venom. So, I don't know. It's a wild-ass time. It's a wild-ass time. So, a lot of what I just said, even though it's just, you're usually scheduled yapping, I'm also trying to plant some seeds and get you guys to have a perspective that I think is good, because this shit is real. Like, you're going to see these changes happening. I think it is consequential as far as how the movie performs to the plot of Spider-Man 4. I think it's legitimately possible that if it is not included as a Spider-Man 4 plot point, it's going to show up in a Sinister Six movie. And I think it is legitimately possible that Sony has enough signs of life within their franchises, despite a lot of bombs, that they might continue doing this. And so that's kind of what's going on with Venom 3. I wonder, do you guys have any comments, questions, concerns when it comes to Venom 3? What do you think? Anybody know who the mystery figure in suit watching the monitors and who Chiwetel's character is reporting to? Yeah, so that'll probably end up being the guy that assembles the Sinister Six to try to fight against Null. Similar to the character that was in a crazy hat at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Actually, was that scene deleted, or did that actually show up in the movie? He's like walking through, and there was going to be a scene with Osborn's head and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's Amanda Waller. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Sony's been trying to do this for a while. And can I just say something? To be fair to Sony, should I show you guys the whiteboard? We can sort of quickly TLDR why Sony's failing and what I would do to revitalize it, the Spider-Man stuff, or should we get right into the Ray stuff? What do you guys want to do? Sony, stop trying to make fetch happen. Whiteboard. Ray. Star Wars. No, F Sony. Put Spider-Man on the board with a big circle around it. Yeah, so here's the thing about Sony. I won't get the whiteboard out, but I'll make a point that I was going to make on the whiteboard. If you sit down and think about it, Sony has the license for around 900 characters via the Spider-Man license. That's the whole issue here, right? Is that they not only have the license to Spider-Man, they have the license to everything that you would consider derivative of Spider-Man in the comics. So 900 plus characters they have access to. Okay? And you think about, what did they want? Like, what does Sony even want? They want what everybody wants. They want an MCU. That's what James Gunn is trying to do. That's what David Zaslav hired James Gunn to do. That's what they want. That's what they've been trying to do forever, okay? So, given those characters, what would you do to be able to support multiple movies a year? The reality is there's actually not a great answer. And so I can see why they went the villain route. I can actually see the logic there, because there's actually not a lot of high profile characters in that 900 other than fucking Spider-Man. Venom's probably the most well known other than Spider-Man. Vulture, Green Lantern, or Green Lantern, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard. These are probably the second, third, fifth, fourth most popular characters other than Spider-Man. So I totally understand the thought process of doing that, right? But the reality is, this shit ain't working, bro. You know, Venom, I did the math yesterday. In fact, maybe I could just bring up some of the notes that I had with the math. So, Venom comes out, makes $856 million on a $100 million budget, $100 million marketing. It only gets, basically, guys, like, the idea is you only get about a third back from total box office gross for the studio. So the studio brings a third of that 856 back. When you subtract the $200 million that they spent, they only net $85 million off of the first Venom movie. And Venom's a huge hit. And they literally only made about $85 million. You can make an argument they made 100, maybe a little bit more, but that's it. Venom 2 underperforms at $506 million on a $110 million budget and between $80 to $100 million marketing. It lost them $42 million. Morbius bombed at $167 million on an $80 million budget with $50 million marketing, and that's being conservative. It lost them, conservatively speaking, $75 million. Madam Web on $100 million, made $100 million on an $80 million budget with conservatively a $50 million marketing campaign. It lost them $100 million. They are somewhere between minus $130 and $160 million on their overall Sony Marvel universe. And we're going to have to see what Venom 3 does to that. It might put some profit in there. It might actually add a little bit more to the subtraction, right? But here's what's crazy. What's the most profitable Sony movie of all time? Anybody know? It's No Way Home, right? What's the second most profitable Sony movie of all time? It's Far From Home. Okay? So the last two Spider-Mans have made more than any James Bond movie. They are the highest grossing, most valuable thing that Sony has. On Far From Home, they took 95% of the investment and 95% of the return. For No Way Home, it was 75-25. This was a renegotiation after the 2019 thing where they walk away, et cetera, right? So, massive profit. So those are the two most profitable, the biggest movies that the studio's ever had. The Raimi movies before that were very popular, very profitable for them. The Andrew Garfield movies, not so much, right? But, so you see the problem, right? You see the problem. The license they have is the most valuable thing they have. The ability to make Spider-Man movies, and right now they have a really great deal because their Spider-Man is in the MCU, and it's kind of even isolated against their other failures. There was a time where they wanted to bring Tom Holland over, and I think via Kevin Feige, and really it's Tom. It's really Tom that's saying no. That's unavailable to them. Right? When he just signed this new contract, this deal that we're all speculating on, what was the deal for? It was for 4 new MCU movies. Right? So, they're making the most money that they've ever made from this character. And yet they want to support more than that, right? They want to support like their own like cinematic universe, their own the ability to do multiple movies a year. But they don't want to use Spider-Man because of they don't want to kill the sort of golden goose that they have going on. And I think technically if you if you're an executive at Sony, you look at this and you're like, okay, so we're minus 130 to maybe 160 on these other movies. But if you add in the gross from those Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, you're way in the green. Like crazy in the green. So what do they do? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do there? What do you do? So my strategy, what I would do is, look, ironically, they have two choices. They could kind of keep going, and the failure's not so bad. It seems so ironic to say, but you look at this, and it's like, Venom 1, a hit. Venom 2, underperforms. Morbius, total failure. Madam Web, total failure. If Venom 3 can get to break even or actually make a little bit of profit, they're really not... I could see them justifying continuing. Just like they are. It's almost like the failure's not bad enough to really shake them into making drastic changes. Do you know what I mean? However, I still think it's worth doing. I still think it's probably a good idea to kind of reboot. Right now, Marvel is going to soft reboot after Secret Wars. If I were Sony, I would do a soft reboot. At that same time, I would set up your own universe. And I would, because here's the thing. You're looking at just basically dwindling returns unless you make a drastic change. Mostly because the multiverse, some people already think it's overplayed. It'll damn sure be overplayed by the end of Secret Wars. You will have 2 massive fucking multiversal movies. You might even have 4 if the Battle World movies are multiversal, right? Then you're going to have the 3rd Across the Spider-Verse movie, which is completely multiversal. Guys, I don't think they can just do multiverse after Secret Wars and after the 3rd Across the Spider-Verse movie. So they're even more restricted than they were before. So if I were Sony, I would reboot right when the MCU reboots. And I would kind of be like, okay, so things are changing. Our universe is changing just like their universe is changing. And then I would focus on Spider-Man. They either need their own Spider-Man, which, ironically, they've also been trying to do. Did you guys know they were going to have a Spider-Man or a connection to Spider-Man in Morbius? Did you know they were going to have Spider-Man or a connection to Spider-Man in Madam Web? Did you know they were going to have Spider-Man or a connection to Spider-Man in Venom 2? Sony's been like trying. There was even going to be a Spider-Man in Venom 3. Remember, the young kid. He was going to be their Peter Parker. So they've kind of been trying to do it. I think Kevin Feige is... I think he's... I think there continues to be reasons that shouldn't happen. And I think Kevin is a part of why that's not happening. I'm going to be real. Yeah. So, I would go with Spider-Man. And I'm going to wrap this up. I know I'm yapping. I know it's a yapathon about Venom 3. And we're yapping about Sony and all that. So, we're going to talk about Ray in just a second. Hold on. Hold on. Through the night. But my last comment on this would be, I think they need to use Peter Parker as the center of their shared universe. But that does not necessarily mean you have to actually have Peter Parker in all of these movies. But I think you need to center it on Peter Parker. There are a couple of different ways you could do this. You could do it via Superior Spider-Man. Have you guys ever read that run? Peter's body gets taken over by one of his villains and then becomes like a big problem. Okay, so that's one way you could do it. You could do it the way the new Ultimates books are doing it, where you've got a world in which Peter Parker never became Spider-Man, but now he has the chance to do so late in life. You could do that. You could do a scenario in which there's just an old man Peter Parker, old man Spider-Man. He's been Spider-Man. He's in his 30s or 40s, and you're doing like an old man version of Peter Parker. Why not bring in Miles? Well, that's the other thing. And if you, I mean, dude, this is another thing I'm going to put in the book. I'm going to put this in the book about Kevin Feige. But I mean, we've been hearing for years that Tom Holland does want to bring in Miles Morales. That's important to Tom. But he doesn't want to do it in a Sony movie. I mean, technically it's a Sony movie, but it's an MCU movie. So think about the things that are working against him. Miles is already in animated form. The MCU wants to do Miles. Tom Holland, who has a lot of the chips in this negotiation, he wants to do Miles in the MCU. So Sony's going to sit there and they're going to have the multiverse is going to be completely overplayed. So they can't keep doing that. Miles Morales is overexposed and he's in the MCU. You probably can't do that. Tom Holland's not going to agree to come play in your universe, so you can't do that. So what the fuck can you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, they are in a tricky spot. And this is why I think Kevin Feige is so goddamn ridiculous. I love this guy, man. But think about this. Strictly speaking, Kevin should not have any of this leverage. That was the whole point of when Rothman and Avi said in 2019, fuck. You remember they said we don't need Kevin Feige? They literally said that shit. I forget which one of them said it, but they fucking said that shit, bro. Okay? And they were right, strictly speaking. If you look at it, Sony has the license. Tom is signed to Sony. There was even a moment where Tom changed his tune. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was even a moment where Tom changed his tune and he said, I was so happy with what we did with Marvel, but I'm excited to continue to do stuff with Sony and we're going to do cool stuff with Sony. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember that? I remember it because I do this for a living and I'm probably on the spectrum and I just remember all this shit. It's literally my whole life, right? I remember that shit. There was a moment where Tom was like, fuck, what can I do? I guess I have to go do the Sony movies. Then he gets wasted, which also, look, we're not going to touch that. He's alcohol, he's drunk, and he calls Bob Iger and Tom Rothman. And basically, you know what he said? This is my whole career. I don't just want to do your goobly glob Sony shit. That's basically what he said. He said, this is my whole career. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not going to do this without Kevin Feige. And, dude, Rothman and Avi probably cursed this kid out to the high heavens. Because they probably at that moment understood, holy shit, Kevin has all the leverage. Do you know what I'm saying? Think about that. How crazy is that? Oh, yeah. No, I mean, Kevin is by all accounts, a great dude, has a warm, energetic presence, super sharp, really, treats you good when you're in front of him. I've heard all kinds of good things about Kevin Feige. I think if you were to meet Kevin Feige, you would never know how absolutely fucking cutthroat he is behind the scenes. He's like a fucking Dawn, bro. It's crazy. So part of the situation Sony's in is they're getting dicked around a little bit too. You know what I mean? So they again, what will they do? I don't know. If Venom is at least a moderately, successful film, I think they're just going to keep on doing what they're doing, bro. It will take massive failure. It would take massive failure for them to turn that around. Now, I think they could adjust and maybe make some marginally better movies, maybe stop making the villain movies, etc. But I would like to see like an actual Spider-Man or some kind of like actual well thought out plan for a Spider-Man, a universe around a Peter Parker, and big consequences with big heart. You know what I mean? I think that's what they have to do. So, Kalen says they're making movies for villains that haven't even been in Spider-Man films. Make it make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good plan. But I think when you consider what they're trying to do and what they have available, I can see why they're doing it. Let me ask you guys a question before we move on to the Ray stuff. One last question I have for you guys. Do you think there's a scenario in which this could have worked? I continue to believe that Phase 4 could have worked. Jane Foster Thor, it could have worked. Miss Marvel could have worked. Eternals could have worked. Shang-Chi could have worked. Shang-Chi did work. I mean, I like that movie, but it could have been much more successful. I think they fucked up a lot of stuff in Phase 4, but it's not like they couldn't have made those characters or stories worked. Right? Do you think it's even possible that Sony could have made this work with the villains? Like, is there even a version of that works? I mean, you could argue Venom works. Venom made more movie than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm going to say that again. Venom 1 made more money than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, part of that's just the timing, fatigue, all sorts of factors, for sure. I think there is a way that they could have made it work. But the reality is, it was never well thought out. And Sony gonna Sony, much like Lucasfilm is gonna Lucasfilm. Soren Sound says, don't miss my super, and remember, I need your take. Okay, let me catch up on chats, and then we'll talk about Ray. The truth about the Ray movie. Okay. Dr. Cool says, super excited to see Agatha and Rio resolve their issues. I don't know if that's happening. We'll see. I don't know if that's happening, though. Appreciate the support, brother. Soren Sounds with a 10 spot. Very generous, brother. Thank you so much. He says, hey, Josh, continue to love this community. Nerd Vengeance for life. Been going through a whole Marvel and Star Wars catalog with my girlfriend. It's amazing how much she likes it. Even the mid shit without nerd baggage. And then thanks for the gifted membership, man. Appreciate it. And then you continued and said, also, we went to Venom last night and she thought it was Ayas, which is funny because she loved Acolyte. Just a very interesting case study with her having no prior connection. Also, lucky she likes it. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. It is interesting how people with no connection, feel about these sort of things, react to these sort of things. I think you need the normies. I think you need mass appeal. So, like, Infinity War and Endgame would not have been as big as they were without, like, the whole goddamn world chiming in. And they also were great entry points, as odd as that sounds. They brought a lot of people into the genre. And then they would check out the back catalog and stuff like that. It is fascinating to watch how people respond to different things. Interesting that she liked Acolyte and did not like Venom 3. Interesting. Girlfriend, female subject for nerdy case study. Yeah. Nighthawk says, dope, 10 months. Even though I've been around for much longer. Love, dude, Venom was cool. I give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't like the Maroon 5 shit, though. Unity. Appreciate you, brother. I'd have to give it a 7.5. But, like, I liked it. Like, I enjoyed it, man. There's a lot of funny stuff. I even like when he was like, "Hola, bitches." Like, the Venom humor was good to me. I thought the Venom... And yes, it's goddamn ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous. But you're either in it or you're not. You either like the Venom humor or you don't. I thought it was cool. Oh, I think it's way better than the second one. I thought. But ironically, my wife did not. Elisa hated that movie, bro. And I will also say this. I think that movie's opening is so bad. Venom 3's opening is terrible. Because it's just like hardcore Noel shit. And you're like, what the fuck? Who was that guy? And then you get into the MCU, or rather, you get into the movie, and it's Eddie and Venom being hungover, wandering around. Like, the plot just meanders, bro. The opening is so bad. So, like, I could see a lot of people giving up on the movie almost immediately. Like, if you were on the fence but kind of leaning towards being skeptic of the movie, about 5 minutes in, you might be like, fuck this movie. Like, that's... And I can't believe Sony let that opening be what it is. But I was also thinking about, like, okay, but consider the changes that they might have made. I don't know if there is a good opening. Do you know what I mean? LOL, all I needed to hear. My experience watching it, here's how it went for me. Here's how it went for me. Oh, wow, they're really hard opening with Noel. Didn't see that coming. Oh, wow. They're redoing that scene. Wait, what? What the fuck are they doing? Where are they at? What the hell? Oh, now that thing's there? Oh, wait, it's that scene from the trailer. Yo, that shit was dope. That's how it went for me. That's how it went for me. But once Venom said "Ola bitches," I was like, I'm in. I'm in. And then it would be like 5 to 10 minutes of like, what's happening? Why did they think they could do that? The Statue of Liberty? What the fuck? And then, oh, they're doing some dope shit again. Let's go. Oh my God. That Venom shit looks sick. All the bitches. And then it would be a couple more minutes of like, so wait a minute. They know not to do that, but they're going to do that? What the fuck? That's some really weird exposition. What the shit? And then you get like another hardcore Noel scene where he's like, I'm still here and driving the plot. And you're like, oh shit, okay, cool, yeah, cool. Yeah. That's about how it went. Definitely a Fast and the Furious guilty pleasure type thing. Okay, let's talk about Ray. You ready? Is that enough about Venom and Sony and all that? You ready to shit all over Ray? Hang on, I gotta get back to my notes here. Oh, right, I'm answering Super Chat. Sorry, I'm all over the place. By the way, didn't sleep well. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I didn't sleep well last night, so the brain's not firing on all the cylinders, okay? So everybody has to be nice to me. Chris says, I would party with Mrs. Chen. Hell yeah. Mrs. Chen is hot and seems like a good time to hang out with. Soren Sounds, thank you for gifting a membership. Hey, Mr. JB, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. My man. By the way, chat, I'm going to shut off the gambling, so get your last couple of rolls in. When I get done with these soupies, I'm going to shut her down. JJ Lamont says the only base as good as the Nerdvengers is the One Piece fan base. We live in good unity. We are living good. And I do love this community. Hell yeah. Nick says we gotta be talking about Reese Ifans. LOL. Cheap trick for the trailer. Plans change. Kind of pissed me off having him be no one. Yeah, I think plans changed, but also I don't know if they were ever going to do anything crazy with him. And he was good in the movie. I understand why they kept the family in and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. There was some cool moments. And then you have that, like, classic double back bullshit with the rocket launcher. And I was like, ugh. Okay. Anyway. Appreciate you, brother. Kalisto, thank you for the 10 spot. Very generous. Says, apparently Tom Hardy said Venom voice changed in the second film to show him evolving as he gained some humanity from Eddie. So did Venom's voice change again in the third one? Venom's voice does kind of change. It's a little all over the place. And also, I noticed Eddie Brock's voice a couple of times becoming more like Venom. They might explain that via the codex and them being like kind of like a singular life force and all that. Not really sure. Getting a little chilly in here, man. This room's hard. I have this heater back there going, but now it's shut off, and now I'm cold, so I'm putting this jacket on, or this flannel coat. That's nice. Thank you, Kalisto. Appreciate it. I think there's something going on there. Something to that. Kalen says they're making movies for villains that. Oh yeah. We touched on that. Yeah. Soren, appreciate you, brother. And then Seconds from Disaster says Miss Chen wanted that Venom D for sure till the xenophage ruined the moment. %. Maybe that's what the fourth movie will be about. Hell yeah. Why are those words every put together? What the hell? Why don't you fix? Yeah, see, you retracted a message. You just got a typo. You're trying to call out words. Ha! Don't you feel silly? Vandal, appreciate you, brother. Welcome back to the Nerd Vengers. Verse says with a 10 spot, appreciate you, man. Says, yo, Josh, it breaks my brain trying to figure out how Sony saw the Venom characters, their history from killer to monster to anti-hero, and said, let's make a buddy comedy. I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's the only goddamn thing that works in these movies, you know? And that's not even something that really happens in the comics. I know that Venom and Eddie do have conversations. It's not like they don't have conversations, but they are not having a buddy cop romp of a time. That's not how that shit works. So that's a unique thing that they did with the movies, and it's the best part of them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you, brother. It's the best part of the goddamn movies, other than the Venom action and stuff. So, yeah, I think it works. Razi says, do you think Anti-Venom is inside Eddie? No. Maybe. Is there something I missed with that? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't really know. I love the Venom movies, but now I don't ever want them being buddy cop anymore. Venom needs to be more serious from now on. He's a more serious character. Well, couldn't that be something that's accomplished via this movie? I almost feel like... Okay, so a little bit of speculation here, right? But let's just say the little bit of symbiote that Venom left behind in the MCU, let's say that's still there. If that symbiote were to interact with Peter Parker, number one, if it were to bring him back to life, that would make them a codex. Spider-Man 4, King in Black. But also, would that symbiote then be like Venom? I know it would have the memories of Venom, as it would have the memories of the whole hive mind. But would it be Venom? I don't know if it would speak the same way. I can even see it maybe being like an infant or infantile. After Flash Thompson serves in Iraq, Afghanistan, he loses his legs and the symbiote goes with him to become Agent Venom. Yeah, but for a long time, the symbiote was not... Like, it was almost dormant. I remember a lot of that run. It's not until they go in... It was during the Guardians of the Galaxy run, and Flash is with Venom, and they do something to unlock Venom and the symbiote. That was when he had, like, the cloak. I don't know if you remember, they did, like, this badass kind of, like, fucking Palpatine cloak on Flash Thompson during the Guardians of the Galaxy run where he was a part of it. So there was part of... During the Flash run, Venom, or the symbiote, was more dormant and controlled. In fact, S.H.I.E.L.D. is the one that had it. And they did a bunch of stuff to try to make it more docile. If I remember correctly. So you could see something like that happening too. We'll see. Okay, let's talk Rey. Let's talk about Star Wars, bro. Star Wars, my God. What a situation here, okay? So just yesterday, it's officially announced via the Hollywood trades that Steve Knight will no longer be directing the Rey movie, or writing it. So let's go over the actual article here, and then I will fill you in. I will regale you on the actual history of this project and Kathleen Kennedy, because it's even worse than you could imagine. All right, here we go. Star Wars movie with Daisy Ridley loses screenwriter Steve Knight. There is another disturbance in the force. Screenwriter Steve Knight has departed the Star Wars movie set to follow Daisy Ridley's Rey after the events of 2019 Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. In March of 2023, Variety exclusively reported that Knight had signed onto the project, replacing original screenwriters Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson. Lucasfilm is actively talking with potential writers to take on the story, which has said to chronicle Rey's efforts to start a new Jedi Academy. But the delay likely means production won't start until well into 2025 at least. Sharmeen Obed-Chinoy is still attached to direct the film, which would be her feature debut. That means she's never made a full-ass movie before, chat. She previously directed episodes of the Disney Plus series Miss Marvel, after twice winning awards for Best Documentary Short Film. These were activist documentaries, which is fine. I mean, I think activism, that's probably a place where it works. While discussing her latest documentary about designer Diane von Furstenberg, the first premiered on Hulu in June, Obed-Chinoy told Variety that the Star Wars story that interests her most is in Rey's journey as a female Jedi. That's how I can best bring my experiences to it. Knight, meanwhile, has been a prolific creative force in film and TV, writing the screenplay for the upcoming Maria Callas biopic, Maria, with Angelina Jolie, and a feature film adaptation of his popular BBC series Peaky Blinders with Cillian Murphy, as well as creating a series for Fox, or FX, Disney Plus, and the BBC. The next Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian Grogu, from director Jon Favreau, is scheduled to premiere May 2026. Disney has slated 2 more Star Wars films for December 2026 and December 2027, but has not yet confirmed their titles. At the 2023 Star Wars Celebration event in London, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy announced that along with Obed-Chinoy's film, the company was developing movies with James Mangold and Dave Filoni, Lucasfilm's chief creative officer and executive producer of the series Ahsoka and The Mandalorian. Puck News was first to report Knight's departure. So Puck News had the exclusive on this. I will read a little bit of the Puck News stuff for you here. Give me just a second. More disturbances in the Force. Yet another Star Wars filmmaker has exited the Lucasfilm galaxy, I'm told. Steve Knight, the veteran screenwriter who created Peaky Blinders, is off the new Jedi Order film project set to be directed by Sharman Obed-Chinoy and star Daisy Ridley. Knight was enlisted last year after previous writers, David Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson, were also hired with much fanfare and later dropped into the Sarlacc pit. Lucasfilm is now hunting for a new writer on New Jedi Order, which most certainly means the film will not be ready for December 2026, the date Disney had staked out for a Star Wars release. That date follows Jon Favreau's Mandalorian and Grogu, which just wrapped shooting. It is on track for May 2026, but Disney has not named the December film. Kathleen Kennedy, who is somehow still running Lucasfilm. That's actually from the article per Baloney on Puck. Reminder that Puck has been on top of a lot of the Lucasfilm failures. Kind of interesting. Maybe they have an axe to grind. Kathleen Kennedy, who is somehow still running Lucasfilm, could drop another of the various Star Wars projects on that date, but that would mean starting production from very soon. So I'm betting Disney will abandon the December slot, just like it did with the Marvel's movie Blade. Okay. So, that's the official story. Now, allow me to regale you with the actual tale of what's going on with this movie and Kathleen Kennedy. By the way, I believe Jeff Snyder said over a year ago that he felt like Steve Knight would leave this project. I remember there was a report out there about it. A lot of people commented on it. There were people that were trying to defend it and say it wasn't true, basically saying like, no, like Steve Knight is going to do a draft, et cetera, et cetera. So like, let me tell you what's going on. And let's go all the way back to The Rise of Skywalker. As Rise of Skywalker was being developed, Kathleen Kennedy literally went to Bob Iger and said, I need a break. I can't keep making these movies. We are showing diminishing returns. I see a lot of danger for the brand. We need to take a 3-year break, recalibrate, and come up with some movies. This was, of course, after losing Dan and Dave. Remember that Lucasfilm was attempting to make a series of movies after The Rise of Skywalker with Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones. It was probably going to be their Old Republic shit. Okay? That falls apart. Maybe good for Lucasfilm at that point because Dan and Dave, I mean, after Game of Thrones, everybody was like, I don't know. They've been able to sort of bounce back with the 3-body problem, which I think is great. But after that falls apart, Kathy goes to Bob and says, we need 3 years of break. Now, that is fucking crazy. Okay, that's fucking crazy. They spent $1 bajillion to get Star Wars as a brand. They made like $5 billion with 4 movies. 5 movies, I guess, with Solo, right? The trilogy and Rogue One and Solo. Averaging $1 billion per movie. You know, obviously super weighted with The Force Awakens. So it's crazy to like go to the head of the company and be like, hey, you know these movies that we paid $1 bajillion for that are averaging $1 billion per? I need to take a break. That's where this all begins, okay? Now, from there, various films go into different levels of production. This would be like your Patty Jenkins film. This would be like your Taika Waititi film. Because remember, too, that on Star Wars Celebration, I think it was in 2020, maybe 2021, on the actual Star Wars website, they announced Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, and they announced Acolyte, female-centric, which caused some waves. I remember there was a controversy with a guest on John Campia's show. And a female guest on there was like, yeah, female centric, that seems whack. I don't want that. And John like tried to defend it. I don't know if you remember this. But the point I'm saying, like what I'm trying to say is they tried to make a Patty Jenkins thing. They tried to get Taika Waititi. There were rumors that they were working on something Old Republic with some smaller scale filmmakers. All of that shit falls apart. All of it. So it gets to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where there's an ultimatum. Disney says to Kathleen Kennedy, you either get a movie out in 2026 or you're fired. This was reported by Jeff Snyder. Okay. So from there, what does Kathleen Kennedy have the brilliant idea of doing? Making a Rey movie. Okay. And she hires Damon Lindelof and his writing partner, Justin Britt Gibson. Okay. They assembled a writer's room. Dave Filoni was in that writer's room as well. And I got to be honest, the initial plans seem kind of cool. I think it's wild as hell to do a Rey movie, especially because Kathy didn't want to do a trilogy. Right? She didn't want to do a trilogy of movies. She just wanted to do a movie that connected to the sequels. That's like stupid. But you get some really incredible writers in there. Lindelof particularly, that's quite interesting because one of the problems that Star Wars faces is like it's stuck in nostalgia land. It doesn't have a viable future outside of nostalgia bait. And I think something in the future and something with Lindelof could have really tackled that exact problem. Okay. So she hires Lindelof to start working on the script. By the way, his script, no Daisy Ridley. No Daisy Ridley. It was going to be a 70-year-old Rey set way past the sequel trilogy. And there was all kind of like other interesting elements, okay? As that is happening, Kathy is scouting for director and having conversations with Daisy Ridley. Kathleen Kennedy hires Charmin Obed-Chinoy. And it was reported that this was like an affront to Damon Lindelof. Basically, when Lindelof found out that a literal nobody was going to direct his movie, issues began. As that is all happening, Kathleen Kennedy floats the idea to Daisy Ridley about coming back to the role of Rey Skywalker. Okay. So, Lindelof and Justin Gibson, they deliver a draft. 2 days later, they are fired. A week later, maybe it was 2 weeks later, Star Wars Celebration happens. Okay? So then, at Star Wars Celebration, Daisy Ridley is confirmed. Charmin Obed-Chinoy is confirmed. And they literally bring Rey out on stage. So I need you to like understand what's actually happening here. They have a break. They can't get anything going. They get an ultimatum. They put a movie into production, hire good writers, but then Kathy starts cooking ideas that aren't congruent with that story, fires them, goes to Star Wars Celebration without a script, with a no-name director, and brings Daisy Ridley out on stage. And it literally only gets worse from there. The first draft that Steve Knight turns in, they hate. They hated it. So they demand crazy amounts of rewrites. Now, this story broke, and I remember this was in conjunction with Steve Knight getting the Peaky Blinders movie. So, like, people were just looking at this, and they were like, okay, so this movie that has already been rewritten its concept completely changed. Maybe not completely changed, but it literally did not have Daisy Ridley. Now it's going to have Daisy Ridley. They announce it. They announce the director as they're firing it, bring in this new guy to write it. And so potentially then you're like, okay, well, Steve Knight turns in a draft and then they go to work and everything's cool. They literally get the draft and they're like, we fucking hate this, Steve. You need to do this. Basically a page 1 rewrite. So he's then tasked with doing another draft, but he's lining up all these other projects. And so people were just like, there's no way he's going to do this movie. Technically, I guess it's possible. Like, maybe he just had, like, a fire second draft, or, like, the next version of the movie would have been absolutely fucking incredible. And then you're good to go, and then they go to shoot, and it's all good. Okay? So this movie has been nothing but blunder after blunder after blunder. Poor Daisy Ridley doesn't know a goddamn thing about what's going on. I remember she said all of her comments that because, you know, she makes comments. You guys bring it up to me. We talk about it, right? Her comments are just that of a person that's trying to make sense of all this herself, right? So, I mean, she literally says, like, a couple of days ago, it's evolving. Okay. She said, like, late, or maybe it was earlier this year, I still haven't read a script, but I've heard some of the ideas and they're exciting. Like, what are we talking about here, bro? Like, this is crazy town. So, Kathleen Kennedy, man, the thing that you can't deny, you might have all sorts of feelings and thoughts about Kathy, about culture, about toxic fans, all these sort of things, right? And I appreciate that there's nuance in these different discussions. But I think one thing that you cannot deny, there's really no nuanced way to sort of talk around this. Kathleen Kennedy has eroded the Star Wars brand's appeal while also making talent way less likely to do something with that same brand. That's the story of the past 5 years of Lucasfilm. I'm going to say something else that I think is controversial, but I think it's real. The years after the actual sequel trilogy have done more damage to the Star Wars brand than the sequel trilogy did. I'm going to say that again. The years following the sequel trilogy have done more damage to the Star Wars brand than the sequel trilogy did. And she can't play nice with anybody. She's firing everybody. Who is left out there that even wants to make a Star Wars movie? They damn sure don't want to make one under Kathy. I think there's only 3 people in the world. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and maybe James Mangold. And the only reason that they're willing to do it is they're already stuck on the long-ass drive in the car with Kathy, and her farts are just less toxic to their nose. They've been in that stinky-ass car for a while now, so it's not affecting them the same way. And my God, ladies and gentlemen, like, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take for Kathy to be gone. Now, here's the flip side of this. This is all potentially actually a blessing in disguise. Because the Rey movie is a terrible idea. It is a terrible idea to double down on that character in any way, shape, or form. Terrible idea. It's like an idea so bad, I would expect South Park to make fun of it. So in some ways, this movie losing its writer, this movie being delayed, could be a good thing. It's crazy, right? And like, do I feel bad for some people? Sure. Like, I feel bad for Rey, and I think there are Star Wars fans out there, some of them that actually genuinely like Rey. I think it's also possible that there could be content with Rey that would be good. The Lindelof thing kind of sounds interesting. Like, I would be interested in what that version would look like. But I promise you, the goobly glob, let's hire this motherfucker, fire this motherfucker, announce this movie without a script, that goobly glob movie that they are making right now will be bullshit. It'll be fucking bullshit. I promise you, it'll be bullshit. So this is a super big failure on Kathy's part. I think it's all the more hilarious because she's on the way out. This was the movie that was supposed to be like her last hurrah. This was supposed to be a movie that potentially saved her tenure, all these different things. And she can't do it. She literally can't do it. We're getting a movie that's a season of a show that's been reworked. And that's happening before all 3 movies that she announced at Celebration. Every single movie and project that she had announced before that. It's like mind-blowing what's happening over there. Now, within this article and within some of the reports around this, the Mandalorian Grogu movie is doing well. They shot it. I think it ended. It might actually be good. So I think the best case scenario for Star Wars fans is that Kathy exits gracefully after the W of Mando Grogu. We never talk about Rey ever again publicly. James Mangold, sure. Dave Filoni, sure. But no more. No more Rey. No more Kathleen Kennedy projects. No more. We'll see what happens, but that's the official report, man. I wanted to talk about this because, well, it is shocking. I mean, isn't it shocking, guys? Isn't it shocking that she is still somehow running this company? Like, nobody understands this. Nobody understands this. And the other thing that this is doing, and I would urge the executives to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. You have put the brand in a further precarious situation because you will have people that will outlast Kathy defending her. This might seem like this super toxic thing to say. I can't believe you're going to say it. I'm fucking saying it, dude. Every time Jon Favreau gets on stage and says, and we love Kathy, and he's like, you know, feels like he's trying to like, no. Every time Dave Filoni gets out there and says, we love Kathy, Kathy's done this, that, second, and the third. Bro, we're talking about the worst fucking executive of all time. The worst fucking president of all time. A lady that destroyed one of the greatest brands and IPs of all time. It's fucking over. You cannot defend her anymore. And the fact that you want to try to give her an optically successful or like an optically decent way off, an off ramp, protect her legacy, have everybody speak well of her, it's actually just sinking your brand even further. This lady is so fucking destructive, so toxic for your brand that you spent $4 billion on. You need to fire her immediately. Immediately. Like, get a fucking time machine, go back in time and fire her ass. Because this effort to try to soften that toxicity, this effort to try to give her a graceful exit is further destroying the very little credibility your brand has. I'm ready to throw Dave Filoni off of the goddamn boat. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would be at that place. But I'm ready. Because I don't trust that he won't just be a little like Kathy even after she is gone. And if a person like me is at that place, it means something. It means something. So you could try to play nice and let her further destroy this incredible brand, or you could pin it all on her, boot her ass to the curb, and listen as the sound of happy nerds fills the air. It's like fucking nub on Endor, baby. Your decision. And that's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got. You know, we're gonna pause it there. We're gonna pull the toxicity back a little bit. I'm sorry. I know I get super toxic when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. She is the fucking worst, bro. She's the fucking worst. So that's the take. That's the take on this situation, this movie. Do they have pity for her, or does she just have mad dirt on things there? I think they're just cowards. I think they're cowards. I think they also have their head in the sand. I mean, it's fucking bad, bro. Like, Star Wars is a joke. It's a goddamn joke. And like, all right, I'm gonna say one last thing. One last thing that's maybe over the line. One last thing that's maybe over the line. Earmuff it. Earmuff it for your kids. Earmuff it for your kids. Every single effort that Star Wars has made to try to support their own toxically positive side of their fan base has done irreparable damage to the brand. Because you've created a scenario in which a lot of people within the fan base want to defend Kathy because of a narrative that you helped form. And the reality is, if you take a step out of this fandom, you talk about Warhammer fans, they will tell you Star Wars, they are so afraid of what happened to Star Wars, they don't want that to happen to Warhammer. It's obvious. They see it. It's obvious. Okay? Take a step away from the fan base, and nobody shares this sympathy for her. Nobody. You guys cultivated that. You created that. And honestly, I understand the beginning of it because there was undue criticism. There was a lot of craziness around the sequel trilogy time. And then it got worse, and you guys defended her more. So you've now cultivated all these like ridiculous ass fans that you're going to invite out to go see fucking Acolyte or play your new shit ass AAA game. You've cultivated that group. That group is in the way of a bunch of other motherfuckers that just want good Star Wars. You did that. Shame on you for picking some dweeby ass lady like that and some optic situation over the fucking love of modern mythology. You fucking cowards. Fuck you, man. Are you kidding me? Goddamn ridiculous what's happened to that brand. Ridiculous what's happened to that brand. I can't even talk about it. I don't even like talking about Star Wars because I get to this place. I don't even like talking about it. That's how bad y'all have fucked it up so bad that like literally this is all Star Wars is. You know what Star Wars is? Star Wars is the thing we occasionally talk about and laugh because yeah, it's still fucked up. Anyway, I don't have positive feelings about it. And I don't even know if there's a scenario in which they can turn it around. But they could start by distancing themselves from this sinking weight, this black hole of a person. It's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. Okay, anyway, any other thoughts, comments, questions? I'll go over some chats here, and then we're going to talk about how AI will replace Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, it's crazy. But, like, do you guys get the point I'm trying to make? Like, they literally were like, people are being mean to Kathy. I think we should put more effort into ostracizing that criticism and labeling it as isms, phobes, and toxicity. We're going to put more effort into that than making the goddamn shit. Making the donuts. It's absurd, and you've cultivated the worst fucking people. You have the worst fucking fan base. You really do. You have the worst fucking fan base on the planet. Everybody knows it. You know the whole shit that happened with Ek over the last couple of months? And I'm not going to go super deep into this because it's not my goddamn business. It's not my thing to put out there. But I saw it happen with Ek, and I was like, you're getting it now. You're getting it now. They're the worst fucking fan base that there is. And it was cultivated by the company themselves. Absurd. Absurd situation. Like, we're literally going to invite those people. Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to stop. Let's talk about AI. Real feel-good story over here. Let's talk about AI. We'll talk about AI. Then we'll catch up on the chats. Maybe I should catch up on the chats first, huh? Okay, let's catch up on some chats. Let's try to calm down. Everybody calm down. Verse breaks my brain. Oh no, we already got that. Rossi says, "Do you think anti-Venom is inside Eddie?" No. Was there another sock issue with KK and the writer? Isn't that hilarious that was actually a thing? Like, isn't that crazy? You go back and you think, like, what kind of weird ass person would hold the way a person folds their socks against them so much so that you're willing to fire them with 2 weeks left of principal photography? I still cannot believe she did that. That's crazy. Soren Sound said, convincing my girl to become a nerd venture. Bad stream to do that. I apologize. I lost my temper. Josh, I bring you the first ever Nerd Vengers power couple. A true trailblazer of the community. Wow. Well, I appreciate it, man. If she didn't run away after that rant, she'll make it here just fine. Verse says, I agree with Matthew Vaughn. Star Wars' appeal is the original characters. Disney missed the opportunity for a reunion. It's time for a reboot. I mean, I tend to agree. But another way to say that is just like, they botched every goddamn thing. So they have no choice but to restart. You know? Mike S. hanging out with a $20 holla. Appreciate it, man. Says, Josh, I don't think you're being toxic at all. I think you're completely right. What they need to do is boot Kathleen Kennedy out once and for all. And I don't trust Dave Filoni anymore. Yeah. At the end of the day, I understand wanting to defend somebody that you work with, somebody that you have personal bonds with, somebody that has helped you out. So I don't blame Dave for being Dave. But the reality is that we're talking about goddamn billions of dollars on the line. Okay? This isn't like the fucking rinky-dink coffee shop down the street where you can sort of resolve and figure situations out. This is fucking billions of dollars, mass appeal, and it's modern mythology. Okay? Modern mythology. There needed to be somebody, a voice in the room, that saw it for what it was and course corrected much sooner. I mean, the true sin was allowing this lady to just be her bullshit ass self for years. For years. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't blame Dave, but now it might be over for Dave, right? And I don't know, because like Ahsoka season 2 might be lit. He's working on stuff with John. There's a way in which they can kind of skirt around this, get past it. Winning solves everything. If Mando Grogu's dope, we're back on track. If Ahsoka 2 is lit, we're back on track. But the problem is they've cultivated a culture that I do not think is just going to go away. They've cultivated a culture that I do not think is just going to go away. Marvel's actually making steps to distance themselves from, I think, some of the more positive toxic folks or like the woke mob, whatever you want to call it, right? I think that's actually real. I think Marvel's doing it directly. But like Lucasfilm's done the opposite. Look at who they invite to shit. Look at who they try to promote. Look at the social media manager they hired. Bro, it's absurd. It's absurd. Vandal says, Sweet 16, Joshy, thoughts on the last episode of Agatha? I think it was you all along. Recently purchased first Marvel comic Civil War Battle World. Unite. Hey, appreciate you, man. Did you have it graded on our Discord? I think you had it graded. And I saw it on the Discord, and that's pretty dope, man. Also, you're 16 today. Happy birthday, brother. David Colin, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Royded Roshi says, saying goodbye to Star Wars recently this year has literally brought me peace of mind. Almost like saying goodbye to a childhood friend. Yeah, totally. I feel very similarly. I will go check out the Mando movie. I will check out Ahsoka Season 2. I guess I'll give Skeleton Crew a try. But like, bro... I feel like we need a goddamn moment of silence, dude. This is just... It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Wow. Rossi says, what do you think the box office will be for Mando? I mean, they better hope it's 500 million. Even more, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Like, do you think Mando and Grogu will do well? Also, Twitch, sorry I got all ranty and I wasn't looking at Twitch chat. Oh, 16th months, you oaf. Oh, sorry. Well, happy sweet 16th birthday either way, bro. $800? Oh, God. You think 800 milli probably is what you're saying, huh? I don't care about Star Wars anymore. I mean, I'm barely hanging on, bro. Do you know the amount of Star Wars shit I used to buy a year? I mean, a lot of you have been around for years. You probably remember. Holy shit. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nathan says, 40K has become my new Star Wars over the past few years. It's just sad to think about what it's become. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope I explained myself well with that point because, like, I really do think if you just step outside of the Star Wars fandom, it's just commonplace knowledge that Star Wars has failed. Like, even in just normies, like, dude... And this was like a hard one for me to kind of understand, even throughout the sequel trilogy and stuff like that. Was like the perception from a lot of just regular folks was like, Disney is killing Star Wars. And I was late to the party, right? Because I had a soft spot for the sequel trilogy stuff. And I kept believing that they would turn it around. And honestly, like, I just love Star Wars. I just really love Star Wars. So I was sort of slow to come around to this reality. But it just became more and more apparent. Again, the failures were so obvious. I mean, it's just sad, man. And I think it'll just need to be studied. You know what I mean? Like, it'll just need to be properly studied when it's all said and done. Because this was... You know, unless they can turn it around, this was the destruction of one of the greatest brands ever. One of the greatest American-made products ever. One of the greatest modern mythologies ever. One of the most successful franchises ever. Like, it's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And if you just talk to people outside of the fandom, like they'll tell you, like, oh yeah, Star Wars. Like, that's the attitude. That's the perspective. Sad. The Nerd King says, you said if Venom 3 is successful, they'll keep going. But remember, Kraven the Hunter is coming up. Yeah, that's true. But I think Kraven, if Venom 3 makes like 600-700 million and Kraven bombs, they'll still go forward with Noel. I think. You know? That's kind of what I mean, though. Like, yeah. Jerry Comics, very generous $20 holla, and that's your first super chat? My man, appreciate you. Says, have you heard how well the production of the Fantastic Four has been going? This is going to be a big movie. Yeah, that's true, actually. Like, apparently that movie is... They're ahead of schedule. They wrapped early. They're going into post early. So, yeah, I mean... Fantastic Four is kind of an interesting one where, you know, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. Like, initially hearing that it was going to be a different universe, I was like, what? Like, that's whack. Pedro's mustache is worse than Kathleen Kennedy. The female Silver Surfer, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, it's starting to sound like Kathleen Kennedy's producing this movie, god damn it. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, so maybe it's not female Silver Surfer. It's actually Nova W. Maybe the alternate universe thing makes sense. It's also the universe where RDJ's Doctor Doom comes from. W. Oh, the movie's going to set up some really interesting stuff about the multiverse and perhaps the Beyondverse. Franklin Richards is a MacGuffin for Doom. Galactus comes from a different universe. You start to like put this shit together. All of a sudden, I'm like, bro, they're cooking. They're cooking. I think Fantastic Four is going to be great. There's still some things I have a problem with, mostly the mustache. But, yeah, I'm going to give it a chance, bro. And they appear to be cooking. Appreciate you, man. Vincent, I appreciate you too, brother. Says, I'm doing research now on mythology and the hero archetype for a video on Luke. I ran into an interview where George said that seeing the OT had helped dying children live longer in hospitals. Whoa. Wow. What a thought. I mean, I could see it. If you don't mind, send me a link to that interview. And that sounds like a really cool video, man. It's just sad, bro. It's just sad. Like, and by the way, like, there's this ironic thing that happens where whenever I freak out about Star Wars, it actually, like, surprisingly, like, it does well. Like, people get engaged. People are like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. Like, people are so mad, they actually want me to just get toxic about this. People are so mad that when I start talking about this stuff, people literally want to send us super chats just to say thank you. I mean, think about how goddamn ridiculous that is. That's how bad they made it. That's how bad they made it. I saw a video, or it was a stream during Acolyte. And I think it was like Critical Drinker. He said we had like 14,000 people watching after Acolyte episode 3. And he's like, it's not even that we're that interesting. It's that people hate Disney Star Wars that much. And that's just true. Like, I've seen it for myself. I don't even like doing this because I would actually rather just talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom for like 2+ years. I'm actually really excited about it, and I'd rather be doing content about shit that I am excited about. It's like I just don't know how else to say it. Like, if you can't understand that, then you don't understand the level of failure that we're talking about here. Like, that's a level of failure that's just unacceptable. And I think that toxic positive fan base that they cultivated has been the shield against the criticism that could have got this thing changed like a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bad, bro. Voltec says, Star Wars A New Hope. More like no hope. No Avengers for life. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Levartov says, would you ever consider live streaming My Hero Academia? It's going to end next year. I think you really enjoy it, especially season 6 and 7. Probably not, brother. I mean, I'm way behind. I think I checked out like season 3 or 4 of My Hero. I have heard that it's gotten much better. Didn't they just do a film recently too? Didn't they just do a movie recently? So, no, I wouldn't stream it. Maybe someday I'd stream some anime, though. And maybe someday we'd stream My Hero. But in the relatively, soon? No. There's just I got way too much on my plate. Like, way too much. Dr. D's Pop-Tart Pool says, statement. Excelsior. May the force be with you, Nerd Avengers. Thanks, bro. 2032 will be Josh's anime arc. I mean, I like anime, bro. There's a lot of manga I like, too. Oh, there's a new Dan to Dan. New Dan to Dan out. New Dragon Ball Daima today, too. Oh, man, you guys got me on some anime. And then new Bleach tomorrow. Psh, fuck, I'm an anime channel. Let's go to Twitch exclusively right now. Let's watch some anime. We're an anime channel now. It's time to go all in on anime. Am I playing Blackout 6? No. Is it cool, though? I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm pretty iffy on COD, to be honest. About time for Venom? Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. 2 weeks later. My Hero, it's so good. Is it good? I really liked the beginning. And then they did the whole, like the arc that kind of lost me was all the schools versus each other in the wake of the big villain thing. And like, All Might's just permanently stuck in his old person form. It just kind of fizzled for me. Ludwig's Battle Arena came out. Oh yeah, is it popping off? People enjoying it? Huh. Maybe I'll check it out. I've been playing a lot of poker, man. I've been kind of addicted to playing poker. Been just playing like some $15, $20 tournaments. I've cashed in 2 tournaments in a row. Feeling pretty good. Pretty good. Anakin Stark says, what's up, Josh? Nerd Avengers for life. What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. Unfortunately, I had to shit all over Star Wars today. So, a little bit down about that, but chat loved it. So, you know, we do it for the people. We do it for the people. Okay, let's talk a little bit about AI, and then let's get out of here, man. Let's GTFO after this, huh? Quite interested in this one, and I'm interested in how you guys respond to this. Chat, help me out here. Do people still really hate AI? Are we anti-AI? Put a 1 into the chat if you hate AI. If you think it's a existential threat and you think it's terrible and we hate AI. Disney good, Josh. Wait, what? Okay, so we still got some AI haters out there. Seems like a lot of people are just whatever about it. Big fan of Allen Iverson. God damn it, Captain. If they do AI, won't that put actors out of work? Okay, so we just had these strikes, right? Did you guys, there was a little piece of data during the strikes that I found really interesting. And that's that 76% of the actors that are in the guild, SAG-AFTRA, which represents the greatest actors in the world, right? Like, let's just set the table with this, okay? Hollywood, the biggest boon of acting, the biggest guild, SAG-AFTRA, and 76% of the people in that did not qualify for health insurance because they made less than $26,000 a year. Okay? So you're talking about that group of people losing work. I don't know. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Okay, so let's dig in, man. Let's read this article and then let's have a little conversation here, okay? Disney poised to announce major AI initiative. This is an exclusive from The Wrap. It's Sharon Waxman and Adam Chitwood. Here we go. And also, I'm cold again now. What the hell? What the hell? I'm cold. I'm grumpy. Kathleen Kennedy pooped in my cereal. Shit. The Walt Disney Company is poised to announce a major AI initiative that will transform its creative output. Individuals with knowledge told The Wrap on Thursday. The initiative is said to involve hundreds of people at the company and will primarily focus on post-production and visual effects. One of the individuals said it would also involve parks and experiences, but not customer-facing. A Disney spokesman declined to comment for this story. A company insider told The Wrap that Disney was working on its own AI initiatives, but not as expansively as suggested by the other sources. The insider said it was too early to say when the announcement was coming. So, just because that's a lot of goobly glob, they have a big scoop. Individuals, meaning multiple people, told them that this was supposed to involve hundreds of people, and it's going to be massive. One person declined to comment. Company insider kind of downplayed it. The news was quickly traveled through tech circles and Wall Street, even with a few details immediately available. Oh, with few details. Disney follows Lionsgate, which struck a deal with an AI company, Runway, in September to aid in augmenting work in pre- and post-production process on films and television series. Disney has always leaned into technology partnerships, Lightshed Ventures analyst Rich Greenfield told The Wrap. It makes a tremendous amount of sense that Disney is heavily focused on this, but also putting substantial resources behind it. Substantial resources behind it. Damn. The announcement will make a sea change in the industry as one of Hollywood's biggest companies embraces AI at a time when Hollywood is grappling with how to use the new technology amid pushback from the creative community. Disney CEO Bob Iger had previously said AI is a tool like any other. He said this like this year, I think. Walt Disney himself was a big believer in using technology in the early days to tell better stories. And he thought that technology in the hands of great storyteller was unbelievably powerful. He said at the Canva Create Showcase in May. Bruh. The man name-dropped Walt Disney himself. If that doesn't give you some kind of indication of how hard they're going on this, nothing else will. Don't fixate on its ability to be disruptive. Fixate on the tech's ability to make us better and tell better stories. Not only better stories, but to reach more people, Iger said at the time. He continued, "You're never going to get in the way of it." Holy shit. Listen to this. You're never going to get in the way of it. There isn't a generation of human beings that has ever been able to stand in the way of technological advancement. Holy shit. What we try to do is embrace the change that technology has created and use it as the wind behind our backs instead of the wind in our faces. Whew. Disney is uniquely poised to integrate AI into its operations as one of the most diversified and data-intensive entertainment companies on Earth, producing countless models and collecting tons of data about everything, from the way that guests of its theme parks spend their money and time, to what you're watching on Disney Plus, to the company's direct-to-consumer streaming platform. An imminent announcement of an AR partnership will surely produce blowback from the creative community, especially if the initiative will mean cuts to creative departments that are already feeling the pinch. The company eliminated more than 4,000 staff jobs, cast members in Disney speaks, in the spring of 2023 and increased the target to 8,000 and ended up with about 7,000 layoffs by the end of the year. The last round of layoffs happened in September and impacted roughly 300 people. While AI is commonly utilized in Disney productions, everything from calculating the way Ember's fire moved in Elemental to creating a more lifelike young Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, that's true. A concerted effort from Disney to use the technology in all aspects of production is a significant shift. Yeah. What makes this announcement even more hot button topic is the move to unionize various visual effects departments from Marvel Studios' team and the group behind Avatar, with AI being the sticking point. Wow. Wow. So, I guess what I'm curious about is how you feel about that. Because basically, the TLDR, like the real story here, is maybe the biggest media company in the world, Disney, is about to probably go all in on AI. So what do you think? What do you think, chat? It's going to make small projects so much better. The movie quality will be all over YouTube without having to hire 1,000 people. Yeah. Have you guys seen the thing where Ashton Kutcher talked about this? Let me see here if I can find this for you.
Epstein, both general partners at Sound Ventures. You just made this big announcement, $240 million focused on AI, and you announced 3 key investments, including OpenAI from ChatGPT, as well as Stability and Anthropic, 2 other big players in this space. What is your thesis and what's your plan for this fund?
Do you want to?
Yes, absolutely, of course. So for this fund, it is really focused on the foundational model layer within AI. We believe there will really only be a handful of players that ultimately emerge, because so few companies have first the technical talent, the capital, and the access to data and compute. Now, Sound sits in a very unique space because we're actually able to invest in competitors. That is very rare within venture. So we're essentially taking an ecosystem bet with our investments in Open, Stability, and Anthropic to say, we know a model will emerge. We want to be in all the players that are likely to be that winner.
Now, Ashton, you were on my panel here at Milken yesterday. There was a lot of talk about the potential for AI, but here there's also a lot of talk about the valuations being very high. Are you concerned about the valuations being high at this point?
So I think that this looks a lot more like Web 1 when you had Google, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves, and 12 other search engines. I think a lot of these large transformer models are very reinforcing. And I think the likelihood that 1, 2, or maybe 3 of these models become the pervasive models.
So this is like the more businessy side. Maybe I need to find the comments from the day before, because he made some like really interesting comments about like on the business side, like why it's Jover. Let me see if I can find this.
Eric has a slightly different belief about the future that I do, in that my sense is that at the same time that the value of being entertained by AI content will continue to go up, and our synthetic friends will have more fake bot AI friends, we'll also crave human interaction. We get dopamine from consuming this content and being satisfied and having all of the sort of Pavlovian response types of things that Eric was talking about. But we also get cannabinoids every time we have a hug. And that matters. And I think that as people can't tell what's authentic and inauthentic, they'll crave authentic interaction. And so I wouldn't short like Live Nation. I wouldn't short like going and seeing live performance. I mean, we look what happened in music when suddenly all of this music was radically available to us.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like even the MP3 made it so concert attendance went way up, and most big artists these days actually have major tours, right? So like, you know, Drake has like that $300 million deal, but he has to hit like 50 tour dates a year or something like that. Like that is true. That's a good point.
We decided that the way we were going to get paid is by going to concerts and going from the music industry made an entire shift. You used to go and tour in order to promote your album. Yeah. Now you put out an album to promote your tour.
True.
And I think what will happen is those live performances and those live interactions are going to gain more value and become luxury assets to us. And in the same way, like if you look at like television ratings or internet ratings of content, what rates? Live sports.
True.
People go to the games. It's live. It still matters. And it, like if you look at Major League Soccer, if you look at the NFL, if you look at Major League Baseball, all of these sports are in these live entertainment entities continue to climb in value. And so I think that as we enter into a world where it is very, very hard to discern what's real and what's fake, we'll want real because we like real, and we'll want those human interactions and those shared experiences.
You know what? Man, it's such a fascinating conversation because like we just talked about like for around 2 hours, two plus hours. We've been talking about how shallow and soulless a lot of content feels that's created by humans. Like, we've been talking about the destruction of the Star Wars brand. AI didn't do that. We've been talking about fatigue of comic book movies. AI didn't do that. DC, AI didn't do that. Sony, AI didn't do that. I think maybe people are missing the mark. I really do think, and I think that there's a lot of danger, there's a lot of fear that comes, from AI. But I think vision, if you have a vision, and if you're doing something to like evoke the human spirit, I think a lot of things that you use are just tools. So like South Park's kind of an interesting example. South Park used to be actual paper, right? And they would do like stop motion with the paper, and that's how they animated it. I mean, they eventually digitize that whole process, right? So that allowed them to just make the thing easier, to get that vision across easier. So I just think, I mean, frankly, I think it's a no-brainer. And it's weird because the industry is getting squeezed too. So, like, what are studios supposed to do? Like, imagine this comes out and this Disney initiative happens, and it's probably going to be mostly digital effects, right? Digital effects. You know, what if instead? Because, like, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I use AI a lot, and some of the ways I use it, like, I wouldn't have predicted this would be the way that I use it the most, but, like, it kind of makes sense. So, as an example, probably the most used AI tool that I use is generative fill. Generative fill on Adobe Photoshop. Okay? So, it used to be like, let's say I had a picture of Venom, and I wanted to put Venom on my thumbnail. And I put Venom on there, but it's like, okay, I don't have an image that perfectly fits the thumbnail size. And then I want Venom to be over here because I want him to take up this third of the thumbnail. You know, he has to be over here. Back in the day, like 6 months ago, I would have had to find a background, maybe go in there, do a mask, erase the background, find a background that fit for that would fit over the whole image. Now I just select the space and click autofill, and the AI just takes what's in there as an image and fills in the rest. And I use it all the time. Like, it's actually ridiculously good. And it's just something that I would have done prior anyways, but it would have taken me like 3 or 4 steps. It sounds lazy. It sounds efficient. Efficient. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm curious about it. I do wonder, like, how this will be responded to, because I think a lot of, like, Wall Street people, I think a lot of tech companies, they're obviously going to love it. I think it will probably actually make Disney stock price go up. I think it'll make movies cheaper and faster to make. I think you could potentially see this technology being used with the next 2 Avengers movies. And I think it could really help. So, I don't know. I'm curious. I haven't felt as much of, like, the AI, like the big, we're being like super anti-AI. I haven't felt that as much lately, but I know that it still exists. So, yeah, I just want to bring it up. I'm curious as to what you guys think about it. Anybody got any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? JB says, it's not just AI, but social media. AI will amplify the same problems that social media has and creates. AI will just exacerbate many of the problems we have because Gen AI is built on prediction/trends. So I just disagree completely. I don't know if that's like just a notion you have or if you have like some actual data to like back that up, but I would counter with this. Google's having a lot of trouble actually building AI models that can compete with like what Anthropic is doing, and what ChatGPT is doing, you know, Sora, Midjourney, all this stuff. Part of the reason they are actually having trouble is because they're trying to use their search engine data to train the models, and that's not actually working really, really well. So I think AI can actually solve a lot of these problems. And I also think that a lot of people underestimate how much robots and algorithms are actually controlling them right now. Like literally right now. You know, what you see on these apps is decided by robots. What filters you use because it makes you look better or whatever on like Instagram, Snapchat, or all that. That's all AI. You know? I think there are a lot of problems with the attention economy and with social media. Could AI be used to exacerbate them? Yes, but I don't think that's inherent to the technology. I think that's just like just the way you would think. I think it could be the opposite. I think AI could actually prevent those things from happening. Yeah, but it's still guided and filtered by humans. There's going to be a point where less and less humans will be needed to guide the AI. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that, brother. If AI wasn't pillaging other artists, it wouldn't matter as much. But essentially, it's sampling the internet to create what you want. So you're third party stealing others' content. So I understand that argument. I wish there was a way to maybe make that more equitable to people, but the problem is what you think is fair and equitable is not what the market thinks is fair and equitable. So one of the greatest artists of all time, Picasso, he stole from everybody. And in fact, he would actually be pretty open about it. I don't think there's such thing as creating art in a vacuum. And so I think every influence you've ever had, like if you like Jim Lee's art, like let's think about it like this, right? Let's say you grow up and you like Jim Lee's art. And then you develop a style that's like Jim Lee. Did you steal Jim Lee's work? You see what I mean? Yeah, good artists borrow, great artists steal. Picasso. Yeah. So I'll give you a poker example that's kind of funny. So there's systems in poker right now that will transfer your stack, meaning like how much money you have in chips, to big blinds. Okay? So let's say the big blinds are 1,000. You could be sitting there with $10,000 in chips, or you can use this software to change it so it shows you that that's 10 big blinds. A lot of poker purists think that's wrong. They're like, well, that's fucked up because you should have to do the math to figure out what the blinds are, so then you know the relative betting of this blah 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 blah. Yeah, I just don't know if I agree. I think it's probably fine if the software tells me what everybody's stack is in big blinds. Do you know what I mean? Interesting. It's going to be interesting. This conversation already sounds damning. In what way? Seb says, I agree, but also worried about the lack of good storytellers backing up the tech. Brother, we got a lack of good storytellers right now. You don't need AI. You don't need AI to get some bad storytellers. Okay? You think AI would have made Venom without Spider-Man? Yeah. I'm really interested to see how this goes. Because you want me to be completely honest with you guys? I don't get to decide how the market reacts to this. Nobody does. The market decides. You guys, as a total entity, are going to decide how this goes. Okay? But I personally would love to live in a world where it was acceptable to make AI movies, because I think I could make AI movies that are better than like a lot of fucking movies. You know what I mean? So like a part of me's like, bro, please let this shit happen. Please, man. Cause I would love to get those toys. If I wanted to go make a movie right now and make something, like, I had a vision for this thing, right? I had an idea for this thing. I have a character. I have a motivation. I have this thing. I like it. So if I wanted to do that now, it's going to cost a bajillion fucking dollars, dude. Like the one thing I saw Ashton saying, it was like sometime last year, he was in an interview and he said, okay, so let's say you just want to get an establishing shot. That's all you want, is an establishing shot of an apartment building. Without AI, there's two ways to do this. You either completely computer generate it, which involves humans, which involves unions, which involves all these different things, and you get them to actually like build it. Or you get a cast, a crew, you pay for equipment, insurance, and you go out and you film the apartment. In a world where you could just type in, give me great establishing shot of this apartment, and it costs you next to nothing, because it's not going to be free. There will be like an energy exchange at the very least. Maybe, the product itself. You got to pay for the computing. But it's like a tenth of a tenth of a tenth of the cost of either one of those other situations. You really going to go take a whole cast and crew out there and fuck around? And like, I understand that some people are going to be like, yes, you should. You should go there and you should fuck around. You should have the union people be super lazy. And you need all that because you need jobs. I just don't agree. I don't agree. But at what cost? I don't understand what you mean. If it was your job, you would. If my job was replaced by AI, would that suck? Yes. But, I mean, I kind of feel like we're not acknowledging how bad shit actually just is. And we're saying like, but my job. Do you know what I mean? Like, you live in a country where banks charge you to use your own money. You live in a country where corporations exploit you so much that they will literally settle cases after like killing people or damaging people with their product, as long as it still nets them some kind of cost saving ability, right? So like in Fight Club, right? Y'all ever seen Fight Club? Do you remember the thing he did with the formula for the recall? That shit's real, dude. Like, you live in that world already. We already live in a world where 76% of the people in the biggest union of actors on the planet make less than $26,000 a year and cannot afford health insurance. Like, I don't know exactly what the solution is, but like, I just feel like when people say like, oh, but it's going to take jobs, it's like, brother, are we not acknowledging that like the direction this is all heading in is plainly unsustainable? Like, it does, like, what? I'm not sure what the solution is, but I know for sure that we live in a world that's already exploiting people, that already puts profit over happiness. I actually believe there's a scenario where like AI could help us fix some of those problems. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think of my job as a defense against the dark arts. Yeah. I think people should be able... It's kind of like the Penguin episode 3, man, where he said, like, that's the American dream. Like, that's what it should be. It should be you work a good job, you're able to provide for your family with dignity. But that's already not how it is, right? And I don't think, like, trying to shut this down is actually the way out of this. But again, I don't get to decide that. Like, you guys decide that. Like, the world decides that. The market decides that, right? Josh loves Penguin, confirmed. Hell yeah. AI ruined Google search. I mean, yeah, it's bad. Like, the AI can't use search model because the reality is search isn't actually designed to give you the best results. Search is designed to create an ecosystem where Google can profit off of traffic. Right? So it's not even like designed to give you the best results. It's a hustle. So here's an interesting idea, right? So we're all talking about how we're going to lose our jobs or whatever, right? So what if the people that lose their jobs, like what if an actor loses their job, but then they have the ability to literally create a whole show on their own? And what if they use their acting know-how to adjust the performances of the digital characters within that film, and then they're like an owner? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what the goddamn solution is, man. I just know Disney's about to probably make a massive move into this area. And we're going to see how the world responds, man. That stock price is going to go up or down. And there's going to be a lot of chatter. A lot of people upset. But will they be able to stop it? I don't know. I don't know. C. Fisher, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. Snyder bots will finally see their Justice League too. Yeah, you know what? I wonder if there'll be any outcome here that we just can't predict. Like, I'm sure there probably is. You know what I mean? Like, could there be something that like we just can't predict? What if those same actors then go do live performances, and because there's so much goobly glob AI, live performers become a big thing. I don't know. Lot of interesting stuff. But I think we're officially just kind of into woo-woo land. I think we've left the building. I think we were technically more grounded when we were shitting on Kathleen Kennedy. So instead of letting the balloon go as we all just float into the sky, I'm going to call the stream there. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Much love. I appreciate you guys. What a happy day. Eagle song? I don't even know where that is. I don't know about nothing. I don't know about nothing. Can I find it? Where's it at? Oh, what the hell? Hey, I found it. Okay, everybody. All right, everybody. Hey, as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next AI produced video. I've actually been AI for years. Ah, Steve McTee? Okay, hang on. Oh my goodness, hang on. I missed a couple chats. Oh, Steve McTee says, society will also continue to change and leave those behind unwilling to adapt. It's the nature of the beast, for better or worse. Yeah, I agree. Something's got to give, man. Something's got to give. I don't know what it is. And so I'm going to just turn this music up, and I'm just going to turn my mic down and Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Yeah, I saw Spider-Man 4 news. We already said that. That was like weeks ago. Daniel reported that weeks ago. Yeah, 2026. I told you. It's between Doomsday and the Secret Wars. Hello? You know what else is crazy? Daniel reported Doomsday or Secret Wars is going to film a whole 12 months after Doomsday. That's crazy. Rossi, thank you for a gifted membership. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah, Crazy. All right, everybody. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of fun conversations about Kathleen Kennedy and the impending doom of AI takeover. Also, Sony gonna Sony. What a world. Videos over the weekend. Streams next week. And I have to figure out, I'm gonna just meditate. After this video, I'm just going to go meditate. And it's like, am I streaming every day? Am I just streaming now? Am I quitting YouTube again? Am I quitting Twitch? Am I quitting streaming? Am I quitting everything? Or am I quitting? Find out next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Remember to open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butthole until the AI comes and it can wash it out for you. All right, bye.